Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cinematic Schematic, the official podcast of the Cinematropolis.com, your home to thoughtful conversations on film. I'm your host, Caleb Masters, and today we are back to continue our annual tradition, the biggest, or maybe biggest might not be the right, most prestigious night of the year for movies. We are talking about the 98th Academy Awards. That's right, it's our Oscars talk. We're going to jump off with an icebreaker question where we'll talk about our overall reactions to this year's Oscars before jumping into a category by category breakdown where we'll give you all the predictions you need to put into your ballot come this Oscars Sunday so you can look like the smartest person at your Oscar watching party, or perhaps the dumbest, depending on, how the night goes. We are going to give our best guess. And again, for those of you who are saying, oh yeah, Oscars, those are coming up, right? When is that? The Oscars, hosted again by Conan O'Brien, second year in a row, are set to air live on ABC and Hulu on Sunday, March 15th, starting at 4 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Central time. Let's welcome this year's predictors. Of course, my co-host and award-winning Oklahoma filmmaker, Oklahoma Film Critics Circle, man hustling around the town, Laron Chapman. Laron, welcome back.
It's good to be here. It's our Super Bowl, so that's we don't have a halftime show. We should have a halftime show. I feel like that should be incorporated. Actually, it doesn't need to be longer. Never mind. But yes, it's our Super Bowl. We're excited to, we have a lot of skin in this game. I feel like it's going to be a very nail biter of a year. I wouldn't have said that 6 months ago, but it sounds like some things have shaken up in the last two award cycles. So, the last two Guild Awards, I should say. So, which will make it for a more entertaining show for sure.
I don't know what you're talking about, Laron. If we don't get K-pop Demon Hunters singing Golden at the halfway mark, they have missed the mark. Laron, as always, I want to say this is our 7th or 8th year doing this, so the tradition continues. Thanks again for rejoining. Also very excited to be joined by a pair of returning guests, returning to the show, first time joining us for the Oscar prediction special. First up, we have the deadCenter Director of Programming, Sunrise Tippeconnie. Sunrise, welcome back.
Yeah, thanks. It's always an honor to be here, and I'm always wanting to join in the Oscar talk. It's something that's always been a part of my interest every year, but also deadCenter. We have 3 Oscar qualifying categories. We often have shorts that play in those categories, so we're very happy to entertain those filmmakers as they come through, and I'm excited to see them as they race to the end, and I'm always fighting and hoping for them. So that's a big part of our my own particular job, but it seems to align with my own interests. So I'm happy to be here, and I'm excited to hear what you guys have to think. But it is a nail biter.
Nail biter indeed. And we are recording this on the Sunday before the Oscars, where there are actually 2 other Guild Awards happening as this recording is unfolding. So how these predictions, and then by the time you're listening to this, might have changed. Who knows? Who knows? Last but certainly not least, very excited to be welcome back. He's from KJYO-FM, iHeartMedia. He's a member of the Critics' Choice Association, also the Oklahoma Film Critics Circle. Jason Black. Jason, welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me. Laron, funny that you said it's like our Super Bowl, since before we started recording, you were talking about wishing that there was that TPUSA alternate broadcast of the Oscars, but I'll let you talk more about it.
Right. Yeah.
Listen, guys.
Caleb did not. It's funny. Keep going. That's fine.
I saw what you're doing there.
If you enjoyed this conversation or you find any of these predictions helpful, you can leave us a rating and review on your preferred podcast app. Also, we are now on YouTube. Which is a new thing. There's a couple hundred of you who are subscribing. That's great. Thanks for all the people who have subscribed. It'd be super cool if a couple hundred more could subscribe in the weeks ahead. But please give us a subscribe. If you want to get the notifications when new episodes drop, ring the bell. Also like the video. And most importantly, comment below the video and share the video with your friends. It'd be greatly appreciated. Gentlemen, let's kick things off. We have so much to cover, more than 20 categories to predict. But I wanted to start off first just by asking what your overall impressions or thoughts are are on the Oscars nominations this year and the Oscars programs. What do we think? Are there any snubs in particular you want to highlight? This is your chance to say yay or nay to this year's Oscars creative choices going into it. And I'll start with you, Laron Chapman.
I feel like every year, at least since they've kind of diversified the voting body, I've been more and more, I guess, pleased, really, for the most part, with the nominations, because at least I'm seeing things that I actually would want to go see, and certain things are getting attention and getting the spotlight. So, like, obviously, we kind of mentioned, the historic 16 nominations that Sinners got, which is kind of remarkable in a way when you think about the kind of movie that it is. Obviously, there's a lot of things that are nominatable in the movie, from music to the crafts to the performances, but it's still, when you put into context that this is a genre film with a predominantly all black cast, to be that, kind of shown that much acknowledgement, it's really pretty remarkable, I think, given kind of the history of the Oscars, kind of not overlooking kind of films like this, so that's one huge thing that was a big plus for me. I was, some of the negatives, I guess I would say, is like, I was sad to see No Other Choice. All but, I mean, I don't think it got a single. Did it get a single?
Completely shut
Completely,
out.
it got Wicked, and I think that's not fair. When you think of
wait, Laron, don't compare No Other Choice to Wicked. Don't put them in the same conversation.
But that just shows you how egregious it is that it didn't get that something, like, because it's in that same camp. It didn't get anything, like, so that was something I would have expected to at least break into the international. I mean, admittedly, we have some really great international movies this year, so it was a competitive year, but it does feel like that would have been, kind of top of mind for most of them. And I even saw it potentially getting into Best Picture. But again, very crowded field, so Delroy Lindo and Stellan Skarsgård, both being first-time nominees with careers that are 40, 50 plus years is kind of insane that they've gone this long without them. Glad they're here. They're both in pretty great films. And then maybe just to close things out, like, I was a huge fan of Weapons, as well as Sorry Baby. And those were two films that I was really, really hoping were going to crack the Best Original Screenplay category this year, and that didn't happen. So I was sad to see that, because I do think they were both deserving of that. But again, very competitive field. So yeah, and then I think lastly, we had as a we're both, me and Sunrise are both part of the deadCenter Film Festival in Oklahoma City. It was really, really great to see three of the films that we had last year nominated this year in the live action shorts category, as well as the the animated short category. So that was great to see that, because when you think of all of the movies that we watch in a year's time, and then across all of the film festivals and to narrow that down to the somewhere in the 10 that the Oscars select just seems like a rarity, and to keep hitting the mark there is really encouraging for us as programmers. So
yeah, I mean, I think just signals the great work you're doing, and also the quality, the caliber of film that are coming through the festival as well. So kudos for you guys knowing how to call them. I want to echo the No Other Choice. That one really stuck. That was like one of my top 5 films of last year, and to see it completely shut out. I hear that there might perhaps be some sort of beef or like reason related to Park Chan-wook getting kicked out of the WGA. I don't know. Yeah. I don't necessarily to make that the talk. I don't know enough about it, but he was he's no longer in the WGA because he did what was perceived work as a writer during the writers' strike on the show for HBO Max. With starring Robert Downey Jr. So that was a bummer. I wonder if that wasn't a factor, but I also think it's very bizarre because that's not the only thing the movie was good at. It just seems like very bizarre to like pretty much eliminate the movie from the conversation because of a perceived slight on the writing side. Yeah,
for sure.
Sunrise, what's your take on this year's Oscars?
Yeah, I echo those sentiments about No Other Choice, but I felt like it was excluded primarily because of the Writers Guild issue. He is a PGA member, and it seems like that would probably have some echoes across all of his work. So it feels like that's the reason, but I'm just observing. I don't really know the inside details of that, but I agree about weapons. I feel like there are things that there are awards that weapons could have been up for. I feel like screenplay was definitely one of them, but I also felt like score. I felt like it had a really wonderful score, and I thought it was kind of interesting that it was not included in that whole category. I wasn't the biggest fan of Eddington, but I know a lot of people were, and a lot of people have come around in that particular film, and I think it's actually kind of risen, and it's maybe influence or the way that people talk about it. And it's interesting to me that it's not present in some form, because it feels like there's some feats to that particular film that seem like they would align with some of these other categories, especially in the crafts. Um, the new category, I was really happy to see this casting category, just recognizing that particular work of casting, and the way that we're recognizing some individuals who are emphasizing the broad concept of casting, not just those that are trained, but traditionally non schooled casting. So Jennifer Viditi, who I think is up for Marty Supreme, and as well as had done work on Begonia, Smashing Machine. I think she's also kind of doing the Euphoria. She had a really great film called Bedford Park that was a Sundance this year, but also reaching out just to like the unknowns, really have figured out how to bring new talent into the industry. And I think that's maybe one reason why this casting award might be given. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. But there's related to this, the Nouvelle Vague film that Linklater did in France. I feel like that could have been a really good contender for international. It could have also, in an ideal scenario, could have been up for casting, but I think it's because that particular casting director is not part of an American guild. But I felt like that was something that I kind of wanted to see. And in general, I think the category that I realize is most important to me really is Best Actress, and it's very challenging, and it's gotten very challenging over the last few years. But I wish that Jennifer Lawrence had been included in this particular slate, because I feel like her work in Die My Love was something that was really extraordinary, and something that could have been challenging for a lot of viewers. But I think just her work in kind of like a depiction of what seemed like complex PTSD and the kind of effort that she put into it really seemed to stand out to me. And similarly, I feel like Ariana put a lot of work in to just kind of balance both films at the same time, and the kind of vocal work that she did, I think, put her into a place where she was maybe considered a different kind of entertainer in her career. And I wish that she had been here. But overall, it's a challenging year. Just like feels like there's a lot of great work, and I feel like it's a good sign just for the industry. The fact that I feel like we're seeing great work, despite the fact that we see audience numbers up for question, and IP, kind of taking over, and we're kind of maybe in a transition period here. And I think we're seeing that because of this conflict. Anyway, that's
you mentioned
a good year.
Yeah, it's a great year. And you mentioned Jennifer Lawrence. My question is, and I'm not saying that there's actually an answer. Does that category have room for two women who are playing, because you have Rose Byrne, if I like Kick sort of thing, and they're not doing exactly the same thing, but they're kind of exploring similar ideas in very different ways, and they're using those same muscles in a lot of ways. So I wonder if that was,
I'm sure,
an unconscious choice, reason that, Jennifer Lawrence didn't get it. It's like, well, we've already got someone who's doing that kind of thing. So,
I also think one of those films had a bigger profile, on the campaign, but I do agree wholeheartedly with you. She was in my five, of my personal choices. So I was hoping against hope that would happen, but
it's a shame. Jennifer Lawrence is going to have her opportunity, though. I'm confident. It's just a shame that you never get the opportunity for the one that really pushes you the furthest. This. It's usually 3 movies later. Look at Leo, for example. Jason Black, what did you make of this year's nominations or programming?
Yeah, I don't have a ton to add that you guys haven't already said. I'm on the weapons train. I kind of thought it might be able to sneak into Best Picture. I mean, Best Original Screenplay. That seemed like a no-brainer. I did also, Sunrise, love the score. I'm a big score guy. So I'm in on that. The only one, and I know this is going to be maybe a bit of an unpopular opinion, I kind of would have liked to have seen The Rock get recognized for Smashing Machine. I know it wasn't that great of a movie, but I really thought he was good. Problem is that you have to take somebody out, and I don't know who that would be. But
Yeah.
he's the only performance this year that I thought, I really would have liked to have seen that at least get recognized. But otherwise, I'm pretty all right with everything else. And you guys elaborated much more. So there's nothing more I could say.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned, though, The Rock, because that entire category is tough because the other two, I think you guys, I agree with everything you guys have said. The only other two sort of snubs that I wanted to call out also in the acting category, Joel Edgerton for Train Dreams. Dreams is that movie. I was expecting nothing from it, and it blew me away. And Joel Edgerton in particular was just next level in terms of like what he was able to do without saying a lot frequently. So would have loved to have seen him. And also, I am not really as hot on Begonia as a lot of folks, including some people on this podcast. But Jesse Plemons in Begonia was remarkable.
Yes,
and he has, to my estimation, should have taken one of those spots. Now, the question there you have to ask then is, well, which one of these 5 people do you drop for either one of those performers or The Rock? And it's an impossible choice. If you're asking me, I say Sean Penn, but he's also probably going to win it. So what do I know? And last thing, I'll just say, I love the Knives Out movies. I loved Wake Up Dead Man, I think in a lot of ways, especially in the craft area. And, I would have loved to have seen that for adapted screenplay and cinematography, at very least, potentially even production design, potentially. Again, that's another very competitive category. But that was another movie that, I think the Glass Onion in particular, but even the first Knives Out got some love. And I was very surprised that Wake Up Dead Man got completely shut out.
Because it feels like the most complex of those 3 screenplays for sure. Like it's doing a whodunit, but it's also adding some theological conversation and so I felt like, there was some meat on that on this most recent film that I wasn't anticipating. So that would have been a nice inspired choice for sure.
For whatever reason, I don't know if it was just the fact that we had 2 of them before, so people kind of feel like the shtick was getting less exciting, or if it was because it was more serious, or because there were just other, or maybe Netflix didn't put the same marketing budget as it had behind Wake Up Dead Man as the previous 2. But just no traction there. Overall, these are great movies nominated. I don't think there's any. Laron, I'm always thinking back to the Green Book year. I think that was when you and I went to an Oscars watch party together. And made very terrible choices about what happened every time Green Book won an award.
Yeah. I don't think we made terrible choices. Let's be clear. I think the Academy made terrible choices. But
we made terrible choices because the Academy made terrible choices.
Fair.
But you know what I mean? There hasn't been since that year. I don't know that there's been an outright year where I'm like, wow, how did these movies get nominated? Because this lineup, we're about to go through the Best Picture nominees. I think these are 10 above average to outstanding movies. It's a great slate of films, and I think the same goes for all the categories we have. There's no one in those categories who just flat out doesn't deserve to be there, at least in my opinion. It's not a sporting event in a traditional sense of competition, but it would be nice, since we don't have one team or other to root for. I thought it'd be helpful for our viewers to know, where do we stand in terms of our appreciation for the films on the docket. So I thought it might be fun if we very quickly just rank from least favorite to favorite movie from the Best Picture nominees. So real quickly, the 10 Best Picture nominees this year are Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams. So I'll throw it back around. We'll go back to the opposite way this time. Jason Black, how would you rank the Best Picture nominees from your least favorite to your favorite?
Oh, least favorite to favorite? Okay, well, so I'll go, and you hate saying this because I did like this movie, but if I go bottom to top, Sentimental Value, The Secret Agent, Hamnet, at least the ending, Frankenstein, I did like Begonia. Train Dreams, I thought was really a beautiful movie. Marty Supreme, F1, I ride literally and figuratively for F1. And then I do go Sinners, and my number 1 movie of the year is Hey Homie, You Cool? One Battle After Another.
Yeah. I love it. And I'm glad we have an F1 stan on this podcast because the internet has
Thank you. Because the
internet has made film internet has been so mean to the inclusion of F1 in the run of films here. So yeah.
Top three for me, baby.
Wow. Great pick. Sunrise, how would you rank the best picture nominees from your least favorite to your favorite?
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, these are my personal least favorite to favorite. F1. Yeah. Frankenstein, Train Dreams, Marty Supreme, Sinners, Begonia, Hamnet. And then I kind of get into this place where there's these films that I feel like are dealing with things that are happening now, that I see the most affect people the most. Not that the others don't, but I just see how the complex vision of these other three really kind of brought them up to my top. And it's The Secret Agent, One Battle After Another, and then Sentimental Value at the top.
Nice.
Yeah. I think I just love acting so much. I think that's one thing that just really hits me the most. But Sentimental Value is also like using the form a lot in a way I think that the others are not. Just in terms of like how we understand what's happening through the cutting, the performance, and in a way that I think the others kind of use it in more like conventional suspense approaches. It might be different if Weapons were on here, because I think Weapons also kind of plays with like our understanding of time and space and information.
Laron, Chapman, how would you rank the best picture nominees from your least favorite to favorite?
So I know you said that the internet was giving hate to F1. I am the internet. I don't hate F1. I got to be very clear. This was a really fun, like sleek dad movie. Like I was like, cool, my dad will enjoy this. We'll have a great afternoon together. It's empty. It's a popcorn movie. That's fine. That is fine. That's what it is, and that's what it serves. I don't think it needs to be in Best Picture. I would have put 5 movies there before F1, so that's at the bottom. Frankenstein. This feels like the movie that Guillermo del Toro even said that he was born to make, and yet it somehow just feels very safe for him. It didn't feel very challenging. A lot of people I know really, really love this film, and I respect that. But as a huge fan of Guillermo del Toro, this just was kind of middle of the road for him, honestly. Then I go Train Dreams. I love the cinematography in this. I'll echo your Joel Edgerton performance. I think that was great. Then I have The Secret Agent. I thought Wagner Moore was great. I thought it was a very immersive, textured thriller that's not really about the shoot 'em ups. It's more psychological, and it's more kind of you're steeped in the culture in that space. I really love that. I was a big fan of Begonia, but I'm a Yorgos stan, so I pretty much love anything he makes. And I thought it was an interesting experiment. Marty Supreme is next, and then Sentimental Value, and then One Battle After Another, and then Hamnet. I love Hamnet. It's the one movie that made me like sob this year, both times I watched it. And then at the number 1 spot, Sinners. So
all right. Yeah. Great lineup. Love the diversity here. Jason, it's going to bring you no pleasure to say that even though I actually do really like F1, that was my birthday movie this year. And I had rock bottom expectations, went and saw it in the IMAX and was like, now that is a popcorn movie. And I really think the sequence at the end, light spoiler, but with the way they use the camera to sort of convey a feeling and an emotion that the movie had been kind of setting up the whole time was pretty incredible and underrated. I can't believe I'm saying this. It's a great Hans Zimmer score. Hans Zimmer knows how to do it. What? It's a banger. I listen to it when I work. It's great.
I mean, every Hans Zimmer score is a banger. Come on.
Yeah. But it is sadly, to Laron's point, I don't know that there's a lot under, besides that we were going for. So that is why it's number 10. But I am happy. I am not disappointed. I think it fits. Unlike the internet, i.e. Laron, why I would have liked to have seen Weapons in the number 10 spot, I also think that F1 is the most popular movie on this list, other than maybe Sinners. And there's something to be said about that.
We need those. You do have to, you do need it. It's not going to win. You know what I mean? It's not going to win. Yeah. So it should be in there, or something like it should be in there.
Yeah, we had Wicked last year, and Wicked Part 2 is a blazing hot mess. So that's how we got
Top
F1.
Gun Maverick. I mean, it's in that category.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think it's important that it's here. So anyway, It is my number 10, though. Then number 9's Begonia. Did like it, didn't love it, did not see the ending coming. I thought the version of the movie that happened before the ending was way more interesting than how the ending recontextualized the movie. I was like, well, that's funny, but it's definitely not as interesting as where I thought we were going. Hamnet, hey, listen, incredible lead performance. Admire the hell out of it. It just did not hit me the way that I think the movie was clearly intending to, and that could be a me problem. Number 7, Frankenstein. Reiterate everything Laron said. I think I liked it a little more than him, but it's weird because in some ways it's him doing the best, having the most resources to tell the biggest story he's ever told. And I also think pretty much everything that's great about Frankenstein, he's done better in other movies. Won't go on about that any further. Still, very good movie, just not my favorite Del Toro. Then you get to The Secret Agent for me. That is certainly a one-of-a-kind film. Admire and appreciate, not a big rewatchable one, but I do think that it's different than every other nominee, and it's an international film, so love to see that. Then you have Marty Supreme, and then you have my version of Hamnet, Sentimental Value, the movie that makes me break down and cry in the last 20 minutes. Then you get to Train Dreams. Again, as I already said, it sort of floored me. And then number 2, Sinners. Love it. Honestly, my top 2, Sinners and One Battle. I mean, it's an impossible choice. I love both of these movies so much. They're doing very different things. And I am thrilled that they are also the top 2 contenders this year, it seems, in a lot of categories. I do think they're the 2 best movies of the year for my money. So it seems like it's going to be a big battle or one after another, category by category, between Sinners and One Battle. So
who will reign supreme? It won't be Marty. No.
It's not going to be Marty. Viewers, there you have it. There are sort of our initial thoughts on the overall nominations and the programming, as well as our preferred rankings in terms of what we favor or most and least across the board. Just want a quick reminder before we jump into our predictions. Again, we're on YouTube. Like, subscribe, all the things, social media. Or leave a comment with your preferred selections. What are your rankings? Would love to hear from you guys. All right, with that said, let's get to the main event, though. Our Oscars predictions, category by category.
The Oscar for Best Picture is presented to... And the Oscar goes to...
And the Oscar goes to...
And the Oscar goes to...
And the Oscar goes to...
And the Oscar... goes,
and the Oscar goes, and the Oscar goes to.
And we are going to start with Best Casting, the new category. And I want to say the way that we're going to do this the same way we always do on this show. We're going to have a what will win. So definitively, if you're hedging your bets and you're making your ballot, which one do we think is the most likely to win objectively? And then we have should win, which is what movie or performer should win that category if we were to choose from the nominees. So that's sort of how we'll play it out. For example, I'll just kick us off. The nominees for Best Casting: Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, and Sinners. And I'm going to say what will win is Sinners, just because it's got the record. I mean, it's set the record for, as Laron already highlighted, most nominations for any film. It's got a tremendous cast. The fact that Delroy Lindo snuck into a Best Supporting Actor category. It's got nominations in pretty much every acting category, I think. So I think that basically gives it away that it's going to be a Sinners will win. And frankly, I also think Sinners should win, though I do want to give some major credit to Marty Supreme. That's an exceptional cast of faces you would not expect to see in a Hollywood film. So again, will win, Sinners should win, Sinners, wink, and applause for Marty Supreme. Sunrise Tippeconnie, what are your picks for Best Casting?
Yeah, I echo your sentiments about Marty Supreme. I feel like that should be. I mean, there's a lot of amazing things going on. I feel like I want it to win, but I know that I feel like Sinners is going to win it. Like all the reasons you stipulated, it's such an amazing cast, and I mean there are new finds I feel like in that cast as well. But just the work that has to have, like figuring out those that can work in terms of music, those can work in terms of dance. And then the variety of age, I feel like all of those things, and consistently performing well in the entire film. I feel like that, to me, feels like it's the reasons it should win, as well as, you know, the fact that I think it's so popular. I feel like there's a way to identify with every one of these characters based on the strength of who's in that role. And I think it will probably win. I do feel like One Battle and Marty Supreme are very similar also in the fact that they're kind of taking people from, like the unknown. Just James Ratterman playing that consultant Danvers was such a revelation. I feel like he should have been nominated, just to recognize his value, I think, and the value of that particular casting. But I feel like this award kind of would do that. But I don't know. I think Sinners is going to get it. Should get it.
So Sinners is a would and should win, but also giving huge kudos to other films. Again, new category, competitive category. I think that's a good call out there. Jason Black, what are your predictions for best casting?
Yeah, I think Sinners will win, which I would be thrilled for. If I were to potentially just vote for something else, I'd say One Battle After Another, just because I think there are more contenders for my favorite character from that movie rather than Sinners. Also, Sunrise sort of just said this, but the fact also that One Battle uses a lot of non-performers, I know Marty Supreme does too, which actually, again, unpopular opinion, I thought Kevin O'Leary had maybe the performance of the year.
He's great.
He's great.
But yeah, so I would say Sinners is going to win. But if I had a vote, I'd probably vote One Battle.
Yeah. All right. Sinners will win. Sinners should win One Battle. Laron Chapman, bring us home here. What are your predictions for best casting?
Yeah, I'm really excited about this new category because it's really going to set a precedent for like how they vote for this. What what are they going for? Are we going for like the best casted in terms of the people that are in the roles are the best for those roles, or because like it's very interesting to see the secret agent here. Like that's an interesting one. There's a lot of people that I don't think most of us know in it outside of Wagner Moura, and so it does sound like they're going off of the quality of the performances within that movie, even if you don't necessarily know who they are, so I'll be very curious to see how they go with this. But I do think for me personally, should and will win will be Sinners. One, for the popularity of it, also just looking at, as you said, the nominees across all the categories for the Oscars, like it's basically in every acting category. And so I think that that's a good tell, for where the Academy may go in that regard. So I think that would be a good and deserved win for Sinners.
Yeah. All right. Great picks, everyone. Sinners is the clear frontrunner, according to this podcast, at least. Let's move on to Best Adapted Screenplay. So the nominees are Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, and Train Dreams. And Sunrise, I'll throw it to you first. What are your picks for Best Adapted Screenplay?
Well, for me, my want and what I think will win are the same. I really think One Battle will win this. Just the timeliness of its nature and the fact that it was sort of, battling the contemporary with what's been written and how long it's been gestation. I feel like it's been able to balance all those things in a way that the others, I think, attempt to, like Hamnet in some way, I think is. But there's just something about the number of characters and again the timeliness I think really puts that film into that place. And I think I feel like also I think we all know that Paul Thomas Anderson's a really great filmmaker because he's a good writer as well as good director. And it just seems like it just something about that to me feels like it's time where people are recognizing it. And I feel like that if it doesn't get this and directing, it might get Best Picture. But I feel like whatever it doesn't get, I feel like Sinners will. Mm-hmm. And in this case, Sinners is not up, and I feel like this is a chance for it to get it. Anyway.
Yeah. I mean, that's another thing. I mean, Paul Thomas Anderson has made, I would argue multiple American classics at this point, but he hasn't really quite gotten the recognition from the Academy that he, I would argue that he deserves. But to your point, Sunrise, this is a movie that feels like, all right, he made a great movie. He's been doing this for a long time. It's timely, but it's also crowd pleasing, which is an incredibly difficult balance to walk. In addition to the fact that it's timely, but adapting novels that are not. Or novel that are not. So it's just, I think that's a great selection there. Jason Black, what's your pick for adapted screenplay?
Yeah, I mean, One Battle should and will win. I mean, mostly just for the line of, got the Grand Wizard over there. But I want to give a shout out to Train Dreams because probably very similar to One Battle, which I have not read. I tried to read the novella Train Dreams, and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying I don't know how they got that movie
that from that
out of this. So yeah, I just want to give a little shout out to that.
Yeah, great call out. Again, the adaptation part is very important and often overlooked. It's not just which script did I like the best. It's, hey, which one of these that had the biggest challenge and overcame them and delivered most meaningfully. So I think that's a great call out. Laron Chapman, what is your pick for best adapted screenplay?
Mine here would actually go for Hamnet because that is not a book that I would read. It's not something I'm interested in. Shakespeare is not a character or an author that I'm particularly fond of in general. I understand his influence on literature, but I felt like Chloe Zhao was able to take a novel again that I otherwise wouldn't read and make it intelligible for me, at least on a human kind of emotional level. And I liked how symbolic her movie is and how much she integrates nature and kind of makes really profound, conversations about the natural world and also about healing in a way that was, for me, very, very moving. So that would be my choice for should win. That being said, it feels almost just probable that it's going to be one battle after another. And I think that that's also a good choice. I feel like if you even do just like kind of a skim through that book, you can kind of see that he has made some creative liberties with that book. It is not the same story. He has found what's interesting about that story and told a more impactful story with it cinematically. And so I do think that is worthy of a reward as well. So my should win is Hamnet as a personal choice, but I think that what will win will be One Battle.
Yeah, not much to add. I mean, One Battle is my favorite here, so I think it should win, and I think it will win for all the reasons I already mentioned. I think it's Paul Thomas Anderson's time. He's an incredible writer that deserves his due, and again, I think as has already been noted, this is one of the only categories that Sinners and One Battle are not directly at odds with each other, and I think it's also an opportunity for both of them to be recognized for the writing. So that I think that's something to look at. That said, let's move on to Best Original Screenplay. The nominees here are Blue Moon, It Was Just an Accident, Marty Supreme, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. Laron Chapman, I'll throw it back to you first. What are your picks for Best Original Screenplay?
Man, so my heart wants to say Sinners here because I love Sinners, and I've heard people actually critique this and say it's actually just art house from dusk till dawn. I disagree with that. I feel like they have taken, like, maybe there's some interesting parallels in the conceit within both films, but I do think that he's doing something much more substantive with that material than simply making like a fake out vampire movie. But that being said, the one that I would like to actually see win here is Jafar Panahi for It Was Just an Accident, because I feel like it's this year's, was it No Other Land from the other previous year, the documentary, where he made this movie under extreme conditions, to hear how he had to do this kind of guerrilla style, like inside of cars against, the challenge to get this very important story out there, I really commend him, and to have it actually be so thrilling and so urgent and so cohesive, under those kinds of constraints. I felt like that is just such an extraordinary feat. And it would be nice to see him honored somewhere, and I just don't think that's going to happen this year. So, but that being said, I still personally, from just like a favorability, I would say that Sinners will and should win original screenplay here.
All right. Sunrise, what are your picks for Best Original Screenplay?
I wish that Sentimental Value would be considered for this. I feel like people are just not going to vote for it because it's less written focused. It seems like much like It Was Just an Accident. I feel like those would be recognized for other areas like direction and cutting and performance, and I do value them, but I feel like they're going to get overlooked. So I really thought about Blue Moon. I really kind of want that particular film to get more recognition, and there's such strength in the language, and it the fact that it was also about writing and the way that it was able to kind of balance real time and not feel like it's overly claustrophobic or that it's unrealistic. And the characters are all interesting, and that seemed like the height of the writing to me. Just again emphasizing the word a little bit more than the other categories would.
I can see that.
Yeah, but I really think Sinners is going to win, just because I think the popularity of it, I think, is going to get recognized. I think somehow intertwined with his stand for IP, I feel like people are going to reward him as an artist, to stand by this original IP that he's going to get, the reward for as soon as it whatever the next version of the Sinners 2 or whatever will come out of it. So I feel like there's
still sinning.
He's still sinning. I feel like there's some sentiment here that might be kind of rewarding somebody for their fight as an artist in a time where it's like AI and IP seem to be kind of taking the studios in a direction that I think are not getting recognized, inside the studio system. Anyway, yeah.
It's always tough. And, I think we see this in a lot of voting bodies, not just the Oscars, but, sometimes when you like a movie so much, you just put it at the top of your ballot, even if you're not necessarily parsing the nuances of always what's best on what category. It's, hey, Sinners was like my number 1 or number 2 movie. Okay. Yeah. I like some of these others, but, because I like the Sinners so much, I'm going to rank it, first or second. Even if if I were really to sit down and hash it out, third or fourth. A nice reminder to our audience that the Academy is also made up of people who often don't actually watch all the movies. They watch a lot. They have access to all the movies. They don't always watch all the movies, as was evidenced by the fact that the Academy is no longer going to be funding public screenings of movies because apparently no one was showing up to them. So all to be said is there's just in the same way as it is for average Joes or average film goers, popularity does play a role. Popularity in campaigning, huge roles in terms of what actually wins versus what's the best. Jason Black, anything, what are your predictions here?
Yeah, Sinners will win, and I think should win. I would echo Sunrise. I really enjoyed Blue Moon. I thought it was just a delight, and also just with the Oklahoma tie-in, it made it a little bit more fun. But yeah, Sinners is going to win.
Yeah, same page. You guys have said it all. I think Sinners will win. It's probably my favorite, in terms of it, just because it's very genre heavy, and I really am just a sucker for that sort of thing. But Blue Moon's a sad story because I think it's top notch script, and I think it's a top even better performance. We'll get to that later, but I really get the feeling it's going to walk away completely empty handed, and it also not enough people saw the movie. So I'm glad it's at least here for the conversation. Hopefully that leads to more people checking it out. But yeah, I think Sinners has got this one in the bag. Let's move on to one that perhaps Sinners doesn't have it in the bag, or where at least we're unsure, and that is Best Cinematography. And the nominees are Frankenstein, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sinners, or Train Dreams. And Laron, I'll kick it to you first. What is your pick here?
Man, if I think about the single best scene I saw in any movie this year, it's going to be Sinners. That moment. But when I think about the totality of the movie, and I do think the whole movie is well done, if I'm thinking of a movie where I feel like the cinematic language is really communicating a lot more than anything else, personally for me, that's Train Dreams. I would say, so that would be the film I would say probably should win here if I'm going on a technical, from a technicality standpoint. But I think what will probably win here, actually, despite me just saying that Sinners had the best individual scene of any movie, is probably One Battle After Another. There's a lot of conversation about those final chase scenes, in the movie, and like that. And I agree, they're very thrilling. But I would argue the same argument I would with Sinners is those individual scenes themselves are well constructed. But if I'm thinking of the totality of the movie and what the cinematography itself is communicating with the narrative, I think that Train Dreams should win. But what will win is One Battle.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Great pick. Jason, what are your picks for best cinematography?
I go opposite of what Laron just said. I think Sinners is going to win. Wait, I'm saying I'm not listening to you properly. I think Sinners is going to win. I'd love Train Dreams to win, though. I think Adolfo Veloso, I think I said that wrong. This is what I thought you were going to say, Laron. Sorry, this is why I'm getting this. I know what you said, inaccurate. But I thought, as beautiful of just a movie in general to describe Train Dreams, the winner is the cinematography. It's fantastic. I got to interview and talk to Adolfo and spend a little time with him, and he's a great guy, really knows what he's doing. All natural light, incredible. Those campfire scenes, natural lighting. So I would love it if that won, but I think Sinners is going to win.
Okay.
Yeah. Again, it's another thing. I think Sinners is a lot flashier in terms of the cinematography. Not that Train Dreams isn't stunning, but just in terms of the big, Laron, you've already hinted at, there's the big scene with the cinematography as the star. I think, and that's what you play for the Oscars and the sizzle reel. That's what gets the votes.
What do you remember? What do you remember the most? And I think that could have the edge for sure.
Yeah. Sunrise, what are your picks for best cinematography?
I do think that people are going to think about those two scenes that we keep mentioning from Sinners and One Battle. I feel like those might sway voters, and I feel like it's gonna be up against Train Dreams, because I agree with Jason, because I feel like the star of that film is the cinematography and it's easy to recognize the work in that particular film, and you can't watch any of it without recognizing the beauty of just the natural lighting. I feel like it's really difficult to think about that film without the cinematography at all. I feel like it's going to win, even though I feel like people are going to be swayed either way. I personally think that Marty Supreme had the best cinematography, just like the number of techniques that they were utilizing, the shooting on film, and the choreography. I feel like all those things were working in a way where they were imperceptible in a way that all these other films were not. And I feel like for me, that meant it was working and consistently working.
Yeah.
In ways that I think all these other films were able to do it for like one scene. But I think it's just gonna, the shinier elements in Train Dreams, I think, are gonna eclipse it, I guess.
So you're saying your pick is Marty Supreme for should win. Train Dreams will win, though. All right. Okay. I love the diversity.
I would love to see that. I would really actually love to see that.
I would be thrilled. I don't have, despite it actually being also my favorite cinematography of the year, I don't have Train Dreams in either for this. I think that One Battle is going to win for a couple of reasons. Number one, as much as we have the big scene in Sinners, you also have what it has to be one of the coolest car chases I've ever seen in any movie. And especially when you consider the constraints they had to work under, like, they didn't like have access to that road 24/7. It was like, all right, we have there's no traffic coming for a few miles. We have like 15 minutes to like get some shots. And for it to just weave on those hills the way it does, just anyway, incredible cinematic. So that's number one. Very memorable, much like Sinners. Also like Sinners, they get to brag about the formats. The VistaVision is a VistaVision, I think, for One Battle they talked about. And listen, that doesn't mean anything to 99.9% of people. And it means nothing for virtually everyone because no one can watch it in VistaVision. But you know what? It's a great little bullet point for your marketing, your awards marketing campaign for say we shot it that way. So I think that's going to give it the edge for will win. But yeah, I think Train Dreams is the should win at the end of the day. But I also think it's very possible for Sinners to take it. So this is a tough category, honestly. So my will win, simplify it. One Battle After Another should win. Train Dreams could win Sinners. Just to cheat a little bit.
We should have a could, yeah. In there as well.
Yeah, right, good.
The dark horse.
The dark horse pick. Yes. Well, let's go ahead and move on to best sound next. So the nominees here are F1. Finally, another nominee for F1 nomination. Frankenstein, One Battle After Another, Sinners, and the movie Laron has championed more than most people I know, Surratt.
Mm-hmm.
Sunrise Tippeconnie. What is going to take home best sound?
I think F1's going to take it. It's just, people will recognize Hans Zimmer. They'll recognize like the velocity that we hear through the sound, and it just has such a clarity to it. When you, in my memory, that's what I remember the most, despite like the cinematography and what's happening and like the, the excitement. I feel like the sound really resonates. But I do think Surratt should probably win. I feel like it's doing a lot of things with the sound. I mean, it's a character in the film almost. But I think by virtue of very few people having even seen it, I feel like it's not going to get its day. Anyway.
It's a bummer. I have seen a slight resurgence of Surratt in the conversation, but also I've discovered there's a lot of people. I know, Laron, you love the movie. I've heard other people who really do not like it. So I was actually surprised to see it nominated at all, which is great because I think it's the type of movie that I love to see sneak into the Oscars. Jason Black, what are your picks for best sound?
F1 will and should win. F1 should be 1 through 5.
1 through 5. No other options.
No other options.
It should have just said, guys, we only have one nominee this year. Congratulations.
F1 through 5. I love it. Laron Chapman, best sound. Bring us home here.
Yeah, I do have Surratt and should win because I do think it's such an integral part of the story. It also is as much sound as important to that movie as I think it was in the foreign film about the Nazis right behind them. Oh gosh, Sandra Hüller. Zone of Interest. Zone of Interest. As integral as sound was important to that, where what you're hearing is telling a story. You're in the desert. They're in very treacherous terrain. It's about music. It's about raves that are happening in the desert. You know what I mean? Like, it's such a visceral part of the story that it's so prominent in your face. So it's kind of felt like just the fact that movie was made, especially in the spaces that it was, is kind of remarkable. So that would be my personal should win. I agree with Jason Black. What will win will probably be F1 because it is also a standout part of that movie. I say it will win. I didn't say it should. I think it will. I think that's what they will. I think that's what they will rally behind. The Academy itself. Yeah.
Laron's like, no. You did. I did not say a nice thing about F1. I just want to clarify. I did not say a nice thing about F1.
I heard Laron say he loved F1. That's great. Thank you, Laron.
I'm with you, Jason. I think it's F1. No question. And frankly, let's give it to F1. It's fine. It's fine for the big popcorn movie to have a really awesome sound mix. Car sounds are way more complex than it might seem obvious, especially when you get under the hood, so to speak, literally and figuratively. So, I think it was give it to F1. Give it something. That's all it's going to get. Apple can go home and say that we're going to, if this is what gets Apple on board to invest in more movies, cool. Let them have it.
They do have a best picture. I mean, I don't know what more could get them to invest in movies, but yeah.
Well, they're not going to win. That's the thing,
Wait till we get to, no, I'm saying they won best picture with Coda. I mean, they've.
That's true. Yeah.
We forget Coda. Yeah, I know.
We forget Coda.
It's like it shouldn't have won.
No physical media, Sunrise. No, not available.
The Killers of the Flower Moon bit is. I'm still hurt. I'm still hurt. Let's move on to Best Original Song, and the nominees are once again from Diane Warren, "Dear Me."
Oh gosh.
From K-pop Demon Hunters, "Golden." From Sinners, "I Lied to You." From Viva Verdil. I said that right. Sweet Dreams of Joy. And from Train Dreams. Jason Black, throwing it to you first. What is the halftime? This is the halftime show award. Who's taking it home?
It's Diane Warren, right?
Oh gosh, if you only knew, guys. I'll tell you some stuff off the air. Okay, so Golden. I mean, Golden's going to win. Which I actually think is cool because it is such a hit. It's playing top 40. I mean, so I think it's cool, and I would be perfectly fine with that winning, which it's going to. But I mean, who are we kidding? I mean, I Lied to You is the scene of the year. It's the song of the year. To me, I think it should win. I think that is bringing so many different elements to the table, from the score to the history of music to it being a banger. I actually would love it if they would open the Oscars with this, but are they performing? Do we know?
I think so. I think it'd be silly not to if they want ratings.
Well, they don't sometimes. They don't have. So
actually, no, I did hear that they are, but I heard that not all of the nominees are going to be. And Diane Warren had something to say about that because she was one of the ones they didn't care to have.
Oh boy.
So
I'm sorry if you don't have a golden performance at the Oscars. It's no wonder the kids don't care about the Oscars. I mean, this is your chance. It'll go viral on YouTube. This is it. This is, that's a good note. All right. So Jason's saying will win, Golden should win. I lied to you. Sunrise Tippeconnie, what are your picks in this category?
Golden will win. But I agree with Jason about I lied to you. I feel like it for all the same reasons. It should probably get recognized. I think it will over time. Again, it's just such a moment in that particular film, and it just resonates. People can't think of the year, I think, without that particular film, and in that particular scene. That this song should win, but there's something to be said also, like what Jason said about popularity, recognizing the popularity of this particular song of Golden. I mean, there's not a week that doesn't go by where I don't have it stuck in my head. Mm-hmm. And I haven't even seen the film. I've never seen the film.
Oh, wow.
I'm waiting for that physical Criterion release at this point.
That's right, actually really cool. We are getting a Criterion release of K-pop Demon Hunters. That is the thing I never thought I'd say.
They're trying to bring to the physical media back is what I see there. That's what that is.
Yes.
Great choice. Hard to argue with you there. Laron, Chapman, anything? What do you want to note for best original song?
Yeah, it's going to be Golden. You would be silly to vote against it if you're betting. But I do like the film. I won't say I was bullied into watching it, but people were like, you should watch it. It actually is good, Laron. And I watched it, and it is good, and I really do like it. And I'm happy for. I love the performers. They're really charming. I've seen them at all the talk shows, and they're delightful. And I'd be happy to see them walk away with it. My personal pick would be I Lied to You, and I've also seen him perform this a couple of times live, and it's just as incredible live. He really does sound that incredible. That would be my personal choice for this. My problem with Golden is popular now. I'm always thinking of the enduring legacy of a song. It's already in a year's time become the Let It Go for me with Frozen. Good song, great song, played great in the movie, but after 500 times, it starts to grate on you. But I get it. It's an earworm. So
just think about 30 years from now, it'll come back.
It'll come back. Yeah.
We're like,
using Let It Go is a bad choice, though, because I would argue that Let It Go is still sung in a lot of households and very popular.
Yeah, you're right.
So,
I guess you're right. There's
an audition happening right now where some girl is saying Let It Go.
I guess I mean my relation to it now, even though I thought it was good when I saw it the first time. Like it's like now in retrospect, I'm like, I like the song, but I've heard it too many times, and so.
That's fair. I get that. I'm no disagreements with you guys at all. Golden's going to win. And listen, I think K-pop Demon Hunters, and I said this in our our recap of the year, I think it's one of the big movie stories of the year last year because it kind of demonstrated that not only can Netflix get hits on Netflix, they can make movies so popular on Netflix that Netflix turns into the marketing machine for the theatrical release. And as we sort of look at where the industry is going in the next 10 years, I think that's probably the more viable path financially in terms of trying to kind of create a world where we can have streaming and theatrical coexisting in a meaningful way versus competing with one another. So that's the movie. And I think the songs are a huge part of that. A huge part of it was, oh my gosh, my kid got hooked on the songs because the algorithm gave them the movie. They watched it. And then there's a sing-along version in the theaters. Oh, now we went to the theaters and sang it together with all the other kids. Like, it's a great time. And so
there are actually probably more songs from this movie that should also be nominated.
I mean, Soda Pop was a lot of fun for me.
Soda Pop. Golden's obviously the hit, but there's a lot of songs in that people love. And I actually would argue there's other songs in Sinners that probably could have been nominated too.
At least one.
I agree.
Yeah,
no doubt.
Pale Moon.
Oh man. It was a great year for songs and movies, seriously. And but I think Golden's deserving, even if it's not my favorite. I lied to you. I think it would be the most impactful, enduring choice. I also really want to give a tip of the hand. Train Dreams is just a really all-out beautiful song. I was listening to all 5 of these last night prepping for the show, and it really much like the film Train Dreams. It just speaks. Maybe it's just because I'm a millennial white male, but the Nick Cave really knows how to get my number. Where you're just like you feel things very deeply, and I think it also sort of captures the themes and ideas and aspirations of the film as well. So great lineup of films. Sorry, Diane Warren. Once again, not today. Not today.
I feel like at this point, it's just like it's a superstition for the Academy member that if we don't nominate her, something's going to go horribly wrong with the ceremony. So if she got something out, we got to do it. That's what it feels like, because I don't think any of them watched that movie. So
Oh no, absolutely not. Well, let's move on to Best Original Score, the other music-related category. The nominees: Begonia, Frankenstein, Hamnet, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. I'll throw it to you first, Jason. Once again, what is your pick for Best Original Score?
Yeah, Sinners will win and should win. But if I were just to give another nod, I would say Frankenstein. I thought for a movie that I was just kind of whatever on, I did like it, but I thought that what stood out to me was the score. So that would be the one that I would say, if I had another option, that's probably what I would go with.
Yeah. Huh? Very good. Sinners will and should. Laron, Chapman, what are your predictions for Best Original Score?
will and should Sinners. There's only 2 films from this category where I asked for the vinyls, to have at my house to play while I do the dishes. And that was Sinners and One Battle, the Johnny Greenwood score. But Sinners is hands down my favorite for sure this year. So should and will win Sinners.
I hate saying this, but the Johnny Greenwood, it's kind of like my least favorite part of the movie. I think it's a little bit grating, and because as much as I loved it, I mean, it's my number one, but I'm just like, okay, I don't.
It's
need
different.
To be, I don't love it.
It's a peculiar one for him for sure.
Yeah.
It's definitely not my favorite Johnny Greenwood score.
No.
I do think it's a good one, but it's not one I think I listened to it twice, when the movie came out, and I haven't really gone back to it much. Sinners I still listen to on the weekly when I'm kind of like getting in the focus zone at work.
It's
so
it's like I really enjoy that about it. And also Johnny Greenwood, I really liked he did Power of the Dog, correct? The score for that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I much preferred his score there, I will say, for sure.
Sunrise Tippeconnie, what are your predictions for Best Original Score?
Yeah, I agree with you all that Sinners will win. I actually felt that Begonia had a really interesting use of instruments. I think just like there's a tonality to it that was really right up the alley of the weirdness that I think that film was trying to get at. And I think it's one of the stronger elements of the weirdness, actually. But I think Sinners is going to take it for all the reasons we keep talking. It's a great score. And I think just the popularity again of the film, I think, will probably raise it for anybody who didn't listen or didn't pay attention. But I think that also the pronunciation of music in the film, I think it's all those reasons.
Yeah, we have this is what a lineup, great lineup of composers here. We are sadly at the end of the John Williams era. He's not really doing too many, if any, scores at this point, or at least not without special exception. But just to see, Desplat, Richter, Greenwood, Göransson, these guys are all like next gen, and they're all doing amazing things, and they're all very different from one another. So that is really encouraging. But I have to say, I'm with you guys. It's no competition. Ludwig Göransson's going to come in. Sinners will win, should win. It is an all-timer score, and a lineup of his career, which is turning into a lot of all-timer scores back to back to back. So he's keeping that trend going. Let's move on to Best Film Editing. So the options here are F1, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. Sunrise Tippeconnie, what are your picks?
I feel like Marty Supreme will get it. I'm not sure. This is the toughest category for me when trying to anticipate, because I never can quite tell how people vote about editing. Sometimes I feel like people sway toward visual effects, towards when there's a lot of performances they've got to juggle, which is kind of like, I feel like what happened last year with Anora. I feel like they were just thinking about like the velocity of the film and how much footage was probably captured and trying to work in the rhythm of it. Sometimes I think it's like when people are recognizing a lot of things that are happening on screen, like F1 or like with the sound. But I feel like the amount of information that happens in the time that Marty Supreme takes place, I feel like that's probably going to push people into a place where it's going to take it. And that's also the reason I think it should win. I think it's just juggling a lot of information, and it's very clear all the way through. And it does maintain this style that we expect from both Safdies, even though it's just Josh this time.
Yeah.
And I feel like we recognize it a little bit as his personality. So I feel like if it doesn't win in other areas, I feel people are going to give it to him here. Anyway.
Yeah. So are you thinking will win, should win? Both Marty
will win, should win.
Okay. Very nice. Jason Black, what are your picks for best film editing?
Well, this is a pretty good marker usually for Best Picture. Not always, but it's a pretty good indicator. So if you see this one go editing, you start to shift your money over to whoever wins. Not every year. So I think who will win and who should win is one battle after another. But I would make a case. That's right, Laron. I'd make a case for F1. I mean, the editing is pretty awesome.
It certainly creates a vibe, creates an energy.
I'm bringing Laron around. Laron is going to go fire up Apple TV right after we're done. He can't wait to do the dishes to that Hans Zimmer score.
Hey, Laron, you gotta try doing the dishes to the Hans Zimmer score, because I have done it, and it does in fact make you feel powerful.
Look, guys, Brad Pitt's still a good-looking man, so I mean,
yes, he is.
It's not hard to watch. It's not hard to watch a movie with him, and I'm excited for the new David Fincher Cliff Booth thing he's going to be doing soon. So it was not a chore to watch. I'll tell you that.
Well, Laron, on that note, best film editing, F1. Yeah.
To actually surprise Jason here, I have it in as my could win. We didn't bring up that as an official category, but I have Dark Horse written down F1 because I do think the sound and the editing are the heroes of that particular film, so I can acknowledge the craft of it in that, even if I think the story itself is kind of, but I do think though that the crafts in it are really strong. Those racing scenes are very thrilling in ways that, they could just be, I mean, even some of the Fast and the Furious movies, are failing at this, the later entries, I would say. Like this reminded me again, just how intense that actual process is, and so it does very much put you in the race. And so I put that as a dark horse here. But I actually think my personal choice here, I'm actually going to say what Sunrise said, is I think Marty Supreme is the best edited movie of all of the 10 nominees. That's something that stood out to me when I watched it. It was like, this is the rhythm of this is very strong. There's a lot of people that they're juggling in that. And I just think that across the board, that's what stood out to me in that particular movie. But I agree with Jason that it's normally an indicator of best picture. And so I have one battle after another in the will win category for this. So could win F1, will win one battle, and should win Marty Supreme.
Yeah, I'm just going to echo the sentiments, Laron. You're taking all the best words and throwing them out there because I think you nailed it. I also think one battle will win just because it's most likely to win best picture. But Marty Supreme, I mean, listen, guys, those movies, Uncut Gems and Marty Supreme are so stressful and so intense, and the way they ratchet up the tension so quickly. And that is almost, among other things, the score and the editing and the performances are really what make that possible. So I think, Marty Supreme, for my money, I think the editing's the star of that movie. That's what. So I would, if I was to pick one that should win, I think it's Marty, but I don't think I think one battle overall is a more likely contender. So you can expect to see one battle take that one. But, if there is a chance that Marty Supreme takes anything, I think it's this. And, if nothing else, I would love to see, Josh Safdie get the validation that he is the better editor between the two Safdies at this point. So, all right, let's move on to best costume design. And actually, hold on. Well, I'll read the category first, then we're going to talk about this for a second. Best costume design: Avatar, Fire and Ash, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, and Sinners. I want to pause here, and we're not going to have a long conversation about this, but me and Laron got in a bit of a Facebook message. I don't even get on Facebook really anymore, but when I do, Laron, who is on Facebook, often pops up at the top, and he had very strong opinions about why Avatar seemed like a weird choice. And yes. I just want to say, it's called Best Costume Design, number one, not Best Costume Made, number one. Number two, a lot of people don't realize that the costumes were designed as actual props before they were scanned into a computer so that they could then be superimposed on the Na'vi bodies. So even though the costumes are digital, they are based off of real things that were made in the real world by actual costume designers at Weta. So clarifying that for everybody, because that seemed like a weird choice. Now, Laron, I'll give you the floor because I think, I think you've come around to this a little bit as well, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I think, I'll say that on the record, definitely was given a lot of content to view, including a behind the scenes. I think it was our friend Sterling Gates that actually gave me this really long, exhaustive kind of behind the scenes documentary of Avatar and the intricacies that went into making the design for the Na'vi people. So that being said, I do think, yes, I see it. I see the craft there. I definitely interpreted, before that conversation, that costume design itself was just the physical item that they have created. And that in this case does apply. I just also assumed that was just made in a computer somewhere, and so that to me took some hits for me in that regard when I was thinking of things. But in now having seen that, I recognize that there was actually some artistic, craft that went into that. So yes, I acknowledge that, even though I would say it still would not be my pick in this category, but I do agree and acknowledge that it should be here.
Yeah, totally fine. Sorry, that wasn't me saying, look, sorry. I want to spit that right. That was an opportunity because I think a lot of people were in your picking on you a little bit, but that was a very common thing I saw across the internet.
Let me jump in, Team Laron here. What are we? We're voting for costumes for cartoons. Get out of here. You can send me all the documentaries you want and scan in everything you want. Come on, get a needle and thread out. I don't want to hear it.
Well, that's fair. So I can tell that Jason is very much not on Team Avatar. Well, Jason, with that, what is going to win this category then?
I wonder if Ruth Carter has become such a name. She's kind of the only famous costume designer that might be enough to get her the win. But my prediction, I think, is going to be Frankenstein, just because I think that the production design, costumes, just the makeup, that whole thing has been so recognized, I feel like, in the industry. And also people like Guillermo, and he's not going to win anything.
They love him.
So I could see this winning. What should win? I mean, I'd probably go Will and should Frankenstein. I'd say both those.
Yeah. Yep. I have to say, some of the flashiest costumes of the year, no doubt. Again, with the huge Gothic floor, they went maximalist Gothic, which was a really interesting combination. Sunrise, what are your picks for this category?
I have a tendency to see these winners not just because of Ruth and Sinners as the winner, but I have a tendency to see the past winners already incorporate history a lot, and I feel like that's something that seems to be part of what Ruth does, and I feel like Sinners should win for that reason, in terms of like all the diversity of the cast and researching what they would be wearing, and then the amount that we see that are also somewhat functional. I feel like that's the reason I think it will and should win. Although I agree with Jason, the fact that Frankenstein, there's a lot of great things that are going on, and because Caleb, you mentioned how large it is, I feel like I could see people voting for it, but it probably should be recognized, second after all of these. But I think Sinners is going to take it.
I'm glad that Sinners wins Best Costumes when they actually just bought or rented all these costumes from Marvel's Blade, the movie that we're never going to get. Really, that's what it comes down to. So I'm voting for Blade for Best Costumes.
There you go. I love that story. It was like the Blade movie kind of got botched or delayed indefinitely. We don't know what's going to happen with it, but they were like, hey, that we were going back in time with this will work perfectly for Ryan Coogler's new movie, and then they just tailored it around that. And I found that the economical aspect of that was really cool because it worked so well in the context of the movie, because I guess they were covering the same era of, in both films. So that's cool, I thought. But
yeah. Again, fun little, aside that we get from one of those Kevin Feige interviews. Anytime he talks, I'm not always interested in everything he says, but he drops all sorts of fun nuggets like that. Laron Chapman, what is your pick for Best Costume Design?
I think not my favorite movie, but I do think that the costume design and the production design were pretty great in Frankenstein. So I do think that it also has like the muchness of all of it, like so much of it is featured. So the Mia Goth moment to moment, every other scene is in something more extravagant than the last scene. So that's something that's definitely a strong feature. In the story. So I would say Frankenstein should and will win in this category.
Yeah, great pick. I'm also going to go Frankenstein. Should win, will win. It's probably going to get like two awards is my guess, and this is one of them. And you guys have already said, well, people like Guillermo, flashy, showy, maximalist, unique. Yeah, it's Frankenstein. Let's move on to Best International Feature Film. The nominees we have are from Brazil, The Secret Agent. From France, It Was Just an Accident. From Norway, Sentimental Value. From Spain, Surat, and from Tunisia, The Voice of Hind Rajab. And should have been here from South Korea. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
No other choice. Laron Chapman, what is your pick for Best International Feature Film?
Again with the Jafar Panahi, this is something I would love to see him go home with something, because I do think he's telling. I shouldn't say the most important story, but I should say a very urgent story compared to some of the others here. That would be really good to see. But honestly, my personal pick for this would be Sentimental Value. It's higher on my list of top 10 movies of the year, so it makes sense that this would be more favorable to me. But honestly, I think what will win here is going to be The Secret Agent. It's been having a really good awards season. It's also nominated in Best Casting. So it's showing up in categories that it doesn't have to be in, and so that signals to me that there's a lot of love for that as the international film being the favored international movie, and so that seems to be the direction the Academy will go. So I'll say my personal pick would be Sentimental Value, and then what will win will be The Secret Agent.
Yeah, great choices. Jason Black, what are your picks for Best International Feature Film?
Yeah, I mean, what should win is no other choice, but not an option. So I think what will win, I actually think Sentimental Value just may be an easier movie to watch. And so I'm just thinking of the voting body here, even though I believe they are more international. There's just more English in it. So I think that actually is what is going to win. But of the choices, I would lean more towards It Was Just an Accident.
Gotcha. So okay. So yeah, It Was Just an Accident. Personal pick for the should win, will win is going to be Sentimental Value. Sunrise, Tippeconnie, what are your picks for Best International Film?
Yeah, I agree with Laron about It Was Just an Accident. I feel like it should be the one that wins because of the story and the resilience of that particular filmmaker coming out of incarceration and kind of dealing with that in a time where it seems like there's a lot of anger, misplaced anger, and I feel like there's a resonance there. I feel like those are all reasons why it should win, and anybody who's been following his career, I feel like might recognize the weight of that in that film. But historically, when I've ever seen an international also placed as Best Picture, it seems like it usually wins. So it feels like it's going to be The Secret Agent. In addition to the fact, it's just been gaining a lot of, which it should. It's just been getting a lot of traction.
Yeah.
So
and uniquely, both of them are. That's what's so confusing about this year is like Sentimental Value and the Secret Agent are in Best Picture. So it's kind of like
But see, Laron, but because I'm going to go Secret Agent specifically because you mentioned the casting choice. It's in more categories, I think, right? Or at least the same number of categories.
Categories that indicate Best Picture versus just like
well, it's not just an actor, right? Like a casting. That's an across the board for the entire production type of award. So I'm going to go will win The Secret Agent, but I agree. It Was Just an Accident would be my preferred pick. I think that story, as you guys have already said, it's timely, important. I think it's got a message or at least ideas that we all need to hear and think on at the very moment we're in, especially when thinking about things that are, what's happening in Iran right now. I think stories like this are more important than ever. That said, I just don't think it is going to have been seen by enough members of the Academy. And because it's such a tough message to hear, I think it goes down a little less smoothly.
That's fair. That's fair. No, those things to consider, because if we're thinking like them, then that makes sense.
I mean, this is the Academy that voted Coda for Best Picture, so feel good. How movies make you feel important? For the Academy members, that is. Let's move on to our next category: Best Makeup and Hairstyling. The nominees: Frankenstein, Kokuho, Sinners. Oh, here you go, Jason. The Smashing Machine finally making an appearance. The Ugly Stepsister. And what do we got? Laron Chapman, throw it back to you. What's your pick for best makeup and hairstyling?
Man, I'm so happy to see The Ugly Stepsister here. That's like a Laron movie. And I'm like, so like legit a Laron movie. It's on Shudder, and it's an awesome like body horror like film, but I also just would never expect it to be recognized by the Academy. So the fact that they are recognizing body horror, thank you, I guess, The Substance. It's just great to see that they are at least acknowledging that there is craft that goes into the gratuitous violence in those types of movies, like in making it realistic. So I'm just happy to see that there. So shout out to The Ugly Stepsister. But should and will win is going to be Frankenstein here, right? It just feels like that's the story, around it is like Jacob Elordi doesn't look like Jacob Elordi. He's just super. You can tell it's him. He's super tall, but there it's a huge feature. The crafts in that are a huge feature in that film. So I feel like that's the standout here. So I think should and will win will be Frankenstein.
Yeah, yep. I think that's a very solid rationale. Jason Black, what's going to win best makeup and hairstyling?
Yeah, should and will win Frankenstein. I mean, I did really like the Sinners makeup and hairstyling here, but I think I think Frankenstein's going to take it.
Yeah. Yep. Sunrise, best makeup and hairstyling. What's your pick?
Agreed about Frankenstein winning. I also agree about The Ugly Stepsister. I feel like there's something really important about how the makeup and like the tooth work in that is something that is really integral to understanding what's different about this take on like a classic Cinderella story.
Yeah.
But yeah, Frankenstein's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, no brainer. Frankenstein will win, should win. I think it's very bizarre that The Smashing Machine was nominated in this category because I actually had one of my notable criticisms about the movie was the makeup was not consistent. Like his nose looked different in different scenes. It was just very, very strange makeup choices that were not consistent. And so it was truly bizarre when that showed up in this category to me. But, Bohemian Rhapsody did win for best editing one year. And the editing in that movie was awful. So there you go.
The worst.
It should be most. That was just most editing. It wasn't that it was good. It just had the most
editing happening a lot.
Yes.
Yes. Old Academy still peeks through every now and then. Let's move on to best production design. The nominees are once again Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, and Sinners. What a tough category. What a competitive category. Sunrise, Tippeconnie. What's going to win best production design?
I think Frankenstein's going to win for all the reasons we just talked about. I feel like the fact that we are transported into this other place and recognizing his talent for vision of design, I feel like it's probably the most consistently strong throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it would be great to see winners win, but it's probably going to be Frankenstein.
Yeah.
I like to measure what's most likely to win based on how the coffins look. When the coffins look so detailed and like they could be hung in a museum tomorrow, that the production design is strong. Guillermo del Toro did not mess around with any detail of any piece of furniture or wall in Frankenstein. Laron Chapman, what are your picks for best production design?
I think what will win here is going to be Frankenstein. I agree with Sunrise. I actually personally would like to see Sinners win here, not because I've heard people say like it's just one set piece, but I think that's not completely accurate. When we go to that first town hall, when they're in the town and we weave between the different shops and the different, like you kind of see just how organic all those things feel to that space. And then also, the actual barn is designed very well. So there's a lot of cool individual pieces in it. They're isolated from each other, but I think when you're in them, they feel very organic to that space. So I thought that it was the best integrated into the story. But that being said, I think Frankenstein, it's a strong feature in it as well. So I think that's probably the likely winner here if I was voting.
Mm-hmm. All right. Solid decision making, I would say all around. If it's flashy or production or craft, Del Toro has an edge always. Jason Black, what's your pick for best production design?
Yeah, Frankenstein will win, probably should win. I feel like we should maybe shout out, though, Marty Supreme, just because of it's just the contemporary, or not contemporary, but having a period piece. And then also Hamnet, I mean, they rebuilt the globe. That's something.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think Frankenstein will win.
Yeah, same. Frankenstein will win. Probably should win. I will say, to your point though, Jason, the Globe Theater, the stage, and the way they use the stage throughout Hamnet, notable standout. So it deserves a shout out.
Yeah,
but I don't think it has a chance at winning.
They're playing Rihanna. They're having a good time.
Yeah, they're playing Rihanna. Exactly. Yeah. Man, she got a lot of play with that, didn't she?
What a year. What a year. Let's move on to, again, what I said was the story of the year earlier. This episode, Best Animated Feature Film. The nominees are Arco, Elio, K-Pop Demon Hunters, Little Amelie, or The Character of the Rain, and Zootopia 2, or if you're in another country, it's called something other than Zootopia 2. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, they can't. It's got that weird trademark thing. So, like, I can't remember. Like, there's different names in different countries too. So it's not Zootopia. I think it's only Zootopia in the United States. So I'll throw it to you first, Jason Black. What's winning Best Animated Feature Film?
I think K-Pop Demon Hunters will win and should win. I think the fact that Elio is even nominated shows that they could not find a fifth nominee. So
it was not a strong year for animated films.
No, this is although Zootopia, I think, turned out to be biggest movie of the year, right? Box office. But still, I think K-Pop, it's just such a monumental movie. It's just so part of the culture that I think it's definitely going to win. And it should. I think it's fun. Sunrise, you got to watch it. It's good.
Yeah, you should watch it.
I'm waiting.
It's worth it. You won't regret your time. It really is fun. I won't overhype it. Like, know what you're getting into, but it's a good time. With that said, Sunrise, having not seen K-Pop Demon Hunters, what do you think the Academy is most likely to vote for Best Animated Feature Film?
Yeah, I mean, the film that people keep talking about is K-Pop Demon Hunters. I really feel like that's going to win, and it was so much so that I didn't even check out the ones that I didn't see. I saw, maybe 3/4 of them. Even though I guess it's Zootropolis 2 is the international title. That's the one film of the animated animated films that I did see. That's the one that really choked me up. Actually, I was very emotionally responsive to it, and I was totally taken by surprise by that. But I don't know if that's enough. And certainly the box office is probably not enough here. But I think K-pop's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, I too was moved to tears whenever we got that amazing Shining reference in Zootopia 2. Also caught me way off guard, I have to say. Laron, Chapman, what is your predictions for Best Animated Feature Film?
I think K-Pop Demon Hunters should and will win this category. Whatever I think of Golden in 10 years doesn't matter. It's a good film. It's a good film right now. I enjoy it right now. I'm just also loving that the Academy is moving away from just it always being a Disney Pixar suite. Like they're moving towards different films. We had an anime movie when recently the
Boy and the Heron,
and the Heron, like we're stop action animation. Like I'm just loving seeing that they're looking at animation as a very varied medium. And Pixar's always just had it in the bag for so long. And it's just nice to see them recognizing different stylings of animation. And this being a prime example of that, so.
Yeah, I think you said it well. This is always a fun category to watch. I think ever since we had probably Into the Spider-Verse, the first Spider-Man movie coming, because they really, it was a huge hit and it was doing hugely innovative things with animation. And ever since then, one, Pixar has been in a bit of a slump, which is, I think, also a part of that conversation. But two, I think it helps a lot of other studios who are investing in animation realize, oh, wait, not everything needs to look like Disney or Pixar to be a hit. Actually, if we lean into different types of animation, and I think ever since then, we have seen a huge explosion of just innovation in animated films. Even last year, we had The Wild Robot was an example of that. Doing some really different stuff. Of course, we had a second Spider-Verse movie a couple of years ago. Even you said Boy the Heron. It's really exciting to see the animated category bring in new types of animation. Even Arco this year, a movie that's not quite my favorite movie overall, but it's doing some really cool stuff in terms of the art direction, the style of animation. So
yeah, for sure.
It's also sort of like a hidden international category. Like it seems like like the films that enter here are often the ones that are challenging from overseas, and that's great to see.
Yeah, absolutely. That said, K-pop Demon Hunters, yeah, we've said it all. It's a huge hit, deserves to win, and is doing some really cool stuff with animation. Let's move on to something else that's doing some great things in animation. In fact, some people on this show might argue it should be in the animated category. We're talking about best visual effects. First up of the nominees, Avatar, Fire and Ash. F1. Oh man, they lowered the bar this year. Jurassic World Rebirth in the conversation. The Lost Bus and Sinners. Yeah, what a lineup. I sometimes, Disney Plus is just on our house in the background, and one that is off and on just is the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, one of the first three specifically. And the second one was on the other day, and man, 2005, 2006, Davy Jones and the Fish People still look better than most everything that is on that you see today.
I agree.
The fact that Jurassic World Rebirth is on this list at all tells you how bad the VFX industry has become.
Exactly. So how do we get worse in this area? I felt like we have more. It's sad for sure. Yeah, because I mean we reviewed that on this channel, and I mean say what you will, the movie wasn't good. We could argue that the visual effects are great, but I'd argue they weren't in that movie.
No, they're terrible. They were like in the conversation for worst VFX for a Jurassic Park movie.
Yeah.
So anyway, Academy, I don't know what's going on there, but Jason Black, what is your prediction and why is it F1?
Well, my prediction's F1. I mean, listen, the visual. Laron loves it. It's the visual effects were great. I understand the undeniability of Avatar, but to me, Avatar's effects look like when you're in Best Buy and the TVs are all on that factory setting. I don't like the frame rate. I just don't like the look of it. I know it's great. I know the whales are having a nice night, but I'm going to go with should and will win F1.
F1, FU.
F1 or FU. That's the slogan.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. Laron Chapman, what is your pick for best visual effects and why isn't it F1?
Right, exactly. No, I feel like, for all the flack that I give the most recent Avatar entry, this is, for me right now, is not a very strong category. And I think that Avatar undeniably has the best visual effects in it. That said, I think what it is I just feel like with it, I'm not excited about this because it always looks good, so maybe it's similar to the Pixar effect where like they've established a look that's really great, but now I've seen it 3 times and it no longer wows me. It doesn't have that sense of wonder anymore, but I can't say that it's not well crafted, if that makes sense. So in this category, I think it should and will win.
All right. Sunrise Tippeconnie, what is your pick for best visual effects?
I will agree with Laron that this will win Avatar. I think I agree with Jason in that like there's some sense of it like just sort of washing over me. It definitely feels like it's a TV demo to me. But I will say that there was some really impressive hair in this. Just having watched one of the other ones, I guess that
should be up for hair according to Caleb.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, but so I did appreciate, I guess, like the skin and textures that were happening in the film. I don't know if anybody who's voting is going to really think that way, but I think they'll probably just recognize the effort. Yeah. And
they're attractive movies. They're very attractive films.
Yeah.
So,
So when I'm thinking of Avatar, there's a few shots that come to mind, but I think what's more impressive about the visual effects outside of the big, loud, spectacle, the underwater sequences, all the flashy stuff. Here's something that I think is more for me that I think the third one of why I think it's a no-brainer for best visual effects. There is a scene after one of the battle scenes where they go over by this little stream and they're having a very emotional moment across with Spider, one of the characters. They've just been so the characters have face paint that is melting
Mhm.
and then there's water on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see the texture of their skin underneath the paint and water, and also how the paint is like melting from the water, and all of that is completely digital. It's mind blowing. So yeah, will win, should win. Avatar. That said, I do understand, especially the big, loud, flashy stuff. It is diminishing returns in terms of just like the wow factor of, whoa, I've never seen that before, because you kind of have, just not in that way. And I don't know, the frame rate thing, I don't think it's going to work. I 2 movies in a row now, I've tried to give it the benefit of the doubt, and I think it's kind of better in some ways, but it's also detrimental in others. So I see exactly what you're saying about like the TV demoification. Keep it at 24 frames per second. It looks better. Let's move on to our next category, Best Documentary Feature. And the nominees are The Alabama Solution, Come See Me in the Good Light, Cutting Through the Rocks, Mr. Nobody Against Putin, and The Perfect Neighbor. Laron Chapman, what is your pick for Best Documentary Feature?
So admittedly, I've only seen 2 of these films, but one of them definitely sucked the wind out of me, and that was The Perfect Neighbor. And it seems to have the biggest profile this year of all the nominees. But for a movie to be told completely, or edited together as just basically what do you call body cam surveillance, like there's no talking heads in this, there's no narration. They just got this. They got all of this footage, and they were able to tell a linear story that is very cohesive. That's very clear. It unfolds like a thriller, And when we get to the inevitable tragedies that kind of ensue in the story, like you just feel like you're living it in the moment with them. And it's, as documentaries go, for me, like it was so innovative to see it be told in that way. It just shows you that documentaries don't have to have a certain structure, and that they could be just as effective in this regard. So I think that one should and will win. And I think just a shout out to The Alabama Solution was the second film that I did see that I also thought was very timely, and enlightening and enraging as well. So 2 very strong documentaries in this category. Fortunately, I haven't seen the other 3, but I think that the Perfect Neighbor is a safe bet, I would think, if you're voting, if you're a betting person.
Yeah, I think that's a good call out. I also, another thing I just noted here, like accessibility, especially for categories like documentary, I think go a really long way. The fact that The Perfect Neighbor is a Netflix film, everybody's got Netflix. A lot of people have HBO, but not as many folks who have Netflix. I think that gives it an edge. Sunrise, what is your picks for Best Documentary Feature?
I second everything Laron said about The Perfect Neighbor. I think it's very accessible. The things that you just said about Netflix is something I didn't consider, but the fact that it's also, I don't know if any of you guys do this, but I have a tendency to watch a lot of YouTube with Perfect Neighbor like cutting, and like it's all body cam footage.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like it's something that I'm seeing as like a little bit of a trend, but it's definitely becoming a discussion point whenever this film in this category this year comes up. People seem to cite this particular film, even if they don't know what the title is or if they haven't seen it. But the people that have seen stuff, it seems like The Perfect Neighbor keeps coming up. So I feel like it's going to win for those reasons. I mean, it's timely. It is dealing with issues that we need to be addressing in our systemic problems when it comes to the way the law is skirted around. But I was really moved by Nobody Against Putin, Mr. Nobody Against Putin. It is someone who is taking their own life and putting it on the line to document the militarization of Russian or Soviet schools, and you sense the danger consistently, and you really recognize how much work that this particular person is doing, potentially becoming a martyr. And it really kind of goes against things that are happening within that film, in terms of like what the Soviet state is trying to suggest about like martyrdom for the sake of their own country, and trying to get young children to be okay with becoming a soldier because they might become a martyr. It's really doing some interesting work to clarify also what's happening over there, and perhaps in ways maybe making a suggestion of what's happening when schools are overly guided by the governance.
Yeah.
All those things were really timely in a way that was very surprising. So if you haven't seen it, I would suggest watching that particular film. But again, I think The Perfect Neighbor very popular right now. I think it's going to win.
Yeah. Perfect Neighbor definitely seems the one that I think has the most brand power, name recognition. Jason, what is your pick for best documentary feature?
Yeah, Perfect Neighbor is going to win. I actually don't love it. I wonder if it just got built up too much. I think Sunrise, you actually just made me realize partially what it is, and I hadn't thought about it yet, is that as I'm scrolling through reels and just every other one is a white guy saying, I know my rights, when they're standing on a sidewalk. I think maybe I just felt like I'd seen it in a certain way. And I think I just got built up too much. So my pick would be Alabama Solution, but I think Perfect Neighbor is going to win. And I think it's fairly obvious that it will.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. I think Will wins the Perfect Neighbor. It's the most popular, the accessibility from Netflix. Sunrise, I'm really glad that you called out Mr. Nobody Gets Putin. I think that's a super timely movie about what's happening, just to sort of, as you said, kind of shed some light on what's really happening in Russia and perhaps sort of the risks of having, as you said, state sort of getting too in the weeds with nationalism in terms of education versus patriotism. A lot there. And what's interesting here, it's listed as nominees to be determined. And I think that's because the filmmakers are not, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, the identity is not public for obvious reasons. So if that movie wins, I'd be really interested to see how that's going to go. But the Alabama Solution, having roots on my mother's side from the state of Alabama, was a particular interest to me. And I thought it was a really well told documentary. Again, sort of highlighting systemically, how did the systems we've put in place have actually been detrimental to entire groups of people and are still, despite all of the noise that we get, on social media, where do we put our attention? Which controversy to think about? There are huge systemic injustices that are not talked about as much because we're being distracted by other things. And I think the Alabama Solution does a great job at highlighting that. No. This thing we've talked about, systemic racism, and sort of what that does to a culture, a state, a people in a certain area. This is still very much a problem, despite the fact that it's not getting as much airtime as it used to. So, documentary I think most people should check out. Let's move on to get into the Above the Line awards.
Above the line.
Oh, here we go.
It's
Best
only
director.
been 3 hours. Go ahead.
3 hours, yeah. First up, we have Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, Sentimental Value, and Sinners. Jason Black, who's going to win Best Director?
I think PTA is going to win for One Battle After Another, and I that would probably be my choice too. But I would be thrilled for Ryan Coogler to win it. I just think the 10 layers deep of what that movie is and how much that he put into the research, and there's just so many things that you miss, and then someone tells you and you go, I had no idea about that. There's just so much that went into that movie. And he's so good about really recognizing everybody else around him. He's very good at not pointing at himself. Not to completely name drop, but when I met him, he immediately pointed to his writing partner and said, I want you to meet, so and then he introduced me to his wife, but he's just not a guy that's a look at me type of guy. So I would love it if he won, but I do think PTA will win. And since it's my favorite movie of the year, it's really my choice too.
Yeah. It's a tough competition though. I mean, Ryan Coogler has really been tearing it up in terms of like the press tour. He is like the list of directors here guy I'm most interested in having a beer with. I just want to sit down and listen to him talk about his stories, talk about his life, talk about his approach to filmmaking. I mean, he did that whole, when we talked about the film formats, when the Sinners came out, he did that whole professor breakdown of the different film formats. And again, I am the target audience. So I'm like, this is my stuff, but I was able to get friends who have no idea about any of that stuff, and they were leaning in watching it just because he was so good at talking about it in a meaningful way. So Ryan Coogler, man, let's go. Laron Chapman, what is your pick for Best Director?
No, I agree with you about that, him going through the different formats, because I am a director and I don't find those things particularly, that's not my focus whenever I'm doing it. I leave that to the cinematographers, but him breaking it down for me, making it accessible to the, putting it in layman terms for everyone to understand was really a really unique gift that he gave a lot of people, I think, and really kind of made you see why these things which format was going to be the strongest one to view the film. But so I would love to see him win here personally. But I think that Paul Thomas Anderson is owed in many ways. And this seems to be the package that's going to give it to him, and I feel like him being one of my favorite directors, just in general, this not necessarily being my favorite film that he's made, but it does feel like he's long overdue to get this. And I think, so I do technically think he should win this, and he will win this. And the DGA, gave it to him. So it does seem like to vote against that would be, well,
that's a pretty good indicator too.
Yeah, it's a good indicator. At that point, if you're voting against it, you're just wish fulfilling. So I think it's going to be him.
Yeah, I mean, unless like the SAG is unifying or the PGA are unifying around a totally different nominee, like the chances of it going to anyone other than the DGA winner are slim to none.
Absolutely.
Sunrise, what's your pick for best director?
I agree about One Battle. I feel like it will win because of all the reasons that we've talked about. Definitely because of the DGA. I do think it deserves it. Of all the choices here, I feel like he's juggling a lot of complicated things, and they just happen so effortlessly. Like even down again to this casting of individuals that are not normally actors, getting them into a place where it seems to make a lot of sense. He's kind of dealing with like a genre film. Not that Coogler isn't doing those things well, but I sense that there's some effort that's happening on Coogler's part, and PTA, like we keep saying, it feels like he's due, and it just seems so effortless. It feels like it's the right time to give him something, and this might be the one time that we give a director something where they deserve it at the time that they do it.
At the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree wholeheartedly with that. I have him down as a will win, should win. Again, masterpiece after masterpiece. The Master, There Will Be Blood, Punch Drunk Love. This guy has been knocking out movies that are deeply American, both thematically and timely. And this one is yet another. It feels like a stone cold instant classic. And I mean that in the sense that you're talking about. This is the stuff this movie is looking at is the America as a millennial. I have grown up with your giant border crises. You're talking about systemic injustice. You're talking about people leveraging their power and authority to fulfill personal vendettas that wreak havoc on entire like towns and peoples. And so it's a very timely, important movie. I think you Sunrise, the effortlessness about it is worth noting here. There isn't ever a moment in the film that feels try hard. It just feels like it's cool. There's another sequence that it was a very impressive cinematography. I didn't note earlier was when they're on the rooftop jumping around with the skateboarders.
Yeah,
incredible sequence, and it feels so smooth. And it's actually, despite it being very impressive, it's not too showy. So kind of talking about like how effortless it seems like, the film Anderson and his cinematographer are making stuff work. Not to mention that basically after the 40-minute mark, that movie doesn't stop, doesn't let up the gas. It is one thing after another. And so, yes, I think he deserves this win. It's his 10th movie. And he might not have another shot for a while because he only cranks one of these out every like 4 or 5 years. And I think he might be slowing down a little bit at least. So One Battle After Another. It's a good pick. Paul Thomas Anderson. I think it's his year. Let's move on to the acting though. Best actor in a supporting role. Speaking of One Battle After Another, we have nominees Benicio del Toro in One Battle, Jacob Elordi in Frankenstein, Delroy Lindo in Sinners, Sean Penn in One Battle, and then Stellan Skarsgård in Sentimental Value. This is such a tough category. And then again, there's a couple of other snubs, a couple of other folks you could throw in here that would be just as good. I'll throw it to you first, Jason. Who will win for Best Actor in a Supporting Role?
This is tough because you typically can look at the SAG, actor awards to know who's going to win these individual honors. So that would indicate that Sean Penn is going to win. I actually think that Stellan Skarsgård is still going to win. I just think he's had enough momentum. I think Sean Penn's had it. He's won 1 or 2. I can't even remember. 2. And he'll be ripping some heaters from the front row, which is a good time. But my pick would be Benicio del Toro. That Sensei is my favorite performance of the year, and so Ocean Waves, baby. That's who I'd vote for.
I'll drink a few small beers to that. Yeah.
A few small beers. Yeah.
Sunrise, who's your pick for best actor in supporting role?
I think Sean Penn is going to take it. For the same reasons about the SAG Awards. Although I wish Delroy Lindo would get it. He's kind of like somebody that I feel like has always had an effect on me throughout my whole life, and he stands out in a way that I think just gets overlooked so often. I really want it for him, but I know it's not going to happen. It's going to be Sean Penn. Everyone just talks about how iconic that particular role is. It's like you cannot find a replacement. I don't sense that for these other roles. Even though like Benicio's very cool, I could see another person coming in and taking it. Stellan also, he's great in that role. He really deserves it, but I feel like someone else could take that role. But Sean Penn, I think you take him out of that film, I feel like the film kind of falls apart.
Huh.
Anyway, yeah.
I think that's a good point. I hadn't considered that there isn't really someone else I could see doing that role, at least to the impact and effect that Sean Penn does. Yeah,
Pete Hegseth, I think, could have done it.
I think he's doing it.
He's doing it right now, right? Yeah. Down to the performance. Yeah, he's nailing it. All right, Laron Chapman, what is your pick?
Oh man, yeah, Delroy Lindo would be my should win here, but I'm also just elated that he is in the category. That period to me is a win. He doesn't have to win the Oscar necessarily. The fact that he's a nominee and he's been being honored for a long career of great character work is just it just puts a big smile on my face that he's here. But I also think that just conventional wisdom tells me that it will be Sean Penn. He won the SAG Award. Did he win the BAFTA? I believe he won the BAFTA as well. So that's two huge, bodies coming together. You might double check me on that, but I'm almost positive he won the BAFTA as well. So that to me indicates that he has the most attention on him. And I agree with you, Sunrise, that in context with him being so important to that film, you're absolutely right. I can't see anyone else doing it. I'm not on the I hate Sean Penn in that role. As some people I know have said he's doing a little too much for them. They think it's too caricature-y. I think he is fantastic in it, but I just think that him having 2 Oscars, him going on record saying he hates the Oscars and he doesn't care, he doesn't want one, should indicate to us that we could give it to someone who also is deserving in this category. But I do think, unfortunately, it is going to be Sean Penn, despite him and despite me. But yeah, so I think should win. Delroy Lindo will win. Sean Penn.
Yes, that was correct, Laron. Sean Penn won his first BAFTA for One Battle After Another. So yeah, that's actually when the SAG is one thing. You pair the SAG with the BAFTA. It's really hard to argue against Sean Penn. He's already won awards. He's not my favorite person. I don't think he's anyone's favorite person. I think he's
Lockjaw winning a BAFTA sounds about right, if you catch my drift.
I do sense that on this press tour, he's been a lot more restrained than he has in previous parts of his life. I don't know if that's a him thing or if his agent is wrangling him more, but he's been the punchline of a lot of jokes. So kudos to him for that. I do think he's going to win, but I would honestly give it to Benicio if I were picking for one performance from one battle after another. I think Delroy Lindo would be amazing for all the things you mentioned, Laron. Glad he's here, but I think it's a deserving performance. And Stellan Skarsgård. Honestly, any of those 3 guys would be my pick. Any of those 3 guys but Sean Penn. But Sean Penn's going to win. So Here we go.
Yeah.
It's unstoppable. All right, let's move on to Best Actress in a Supporting Role. And the nominees are Elle Fanning. Oh, I am going to butcher her name. Ingda.
Ib's daughter, Lilius.
There you go. Lilius. There you go. Amy Madigan in Weapons. Wunmi Mosaku in Sinners. And Tiana Taylor in One Battle After Another. Laron Chapman's clearly very excited for this category. So I'm going to throw it to you first, Laron. Who will win, should win?
I mean, at the top of the year, I thought this was Tiana Taylor's the entire way. It just seemed like she had the momentum. The movie had the momentum, but she won the Golden Globe. And then it seemed like things were going her direction with SAG. And we have seen some surprises around this category, which just really makes this category a nail biter because she won the Golden Globe. Wunmi Mosaku won the BAFTA. Amy Madigan won the SAG, but she also won Critics' Choice Awards. As excellent as I think Inga and Elle are in sentimental value, I'd even argue that with her and Renata Reinsve, I really look at sentimental value as an ensemble. I don't think anyone's supporting it. I think they all kind of have equal weight in that story. That's just kind of the nature of it. So it's kind of hard for me to see either one of them in that category. I feel like they cancel each other out. But I feel like Amy Madigan, to me, if I'm thinking of supporting performances, as someone who comes in at the tail end of that movie, she's sprinkled throughout, she's kind of teased throughout the story, but has this meat of a supporting role there towards the last chapter of Weapons. That to me isn't like, that is like quintessential, like that's a supporting performance, having weight and having power in that particular story, where her presence is throughout that entire movie before we've ever actually gotten to see her like in what role she's actually playing in the story. I would be happy with literally anyone in this category winning, because I think everyone is excellent. But if I was picking, if you twisted my arm, I would say I wanted Amy Madigan to win this category. And I actually think she will win this category. I think she has the most of the Guild Awards, most of the kind of she won just recently too. So that's top of mind for people. She gave a really great speech. I also think she has the best narrative of all five of these people in terms of winning, having been a previous nominee many, many, many years ago, and then having this resurgence for such an interesting, meaty character role in a horror movie, commercial horror movie. So that's just really cool, So anyway, yes, I think should and will win Amy Madigan. Yeah.
Is the new Oscar recipe to be an actress who gets some sort of nomination to go to a horror movie? Because we saw it with The Substance last year and lead actress, and now we have it here again in supporting actress. I don't know. Just saying, I'm starting to notice a pattern. Perhaps if we see it a third time next year, that's when you're like, okay, actresses be chasing horror movie. Actresses who've been off the grid for a while be chasing horror movies to make their break back in.
I think to your point with that, I think it's because the horror genre is more inclusive in that way, where you can give them a really cool, interesting, weird, meaty role. Whereas instead of just being the grandmother in a movie or the matriarch of a family, like you can be a character actor and play something really cool in a horror movie and still be, utilized for all of your gifts. So
I think there's something to that. Sunrise Tippeconnie, what are your picks for best actress in a supporting role?
I struggle with this one. Like Laron talking about Teyana, I really was on board with her at the beginning. There's such a tenacity that really feels like the film kind of captures her own just vibrancy.
Mm-hmm.
But Amy Madigan, who I think will win, Amy Madigan, I think, does deserve it, because there is just such an interesting balance of like genre work, where like part of the film, like the center of the film, her performance is sort of like kooky and like maybe almost exaggerated to feel like a creature. But by the end of the film, there's a real great balance where it's like a real character. There's a third dimension that comes in, and she's able to make all of that work all the way through the film. And then just this story again, like what Laron mentioned, I feel like people are going to be on board with her particular long gestating narrative, and it feels like it's maybe time that she won for something that she deserves. Great performance. Excuse me.
What the thing about this is, these are all actresses who I'm not sure. Not to say that they aren't going to go on to do more great work, but I'm genuinely not sure when the next time they're going to be here will be. It could be next year, but it could also be 10 years from now. It could be never. Like, that's the type of thing you have. It is a really unique category in that regard. Really strong performers given really meaty roles, and they all deliver home runs with said roles. So I think it's a good call out. Jason Black, what are your picks for best actress in a supporting role?
Yeah, that's actually that's a brilliant point, Caleb. That because a lot of these actresses, like you're saying, just even who they are not necessarily going to get a chance. Elle Fanning, just with the most road, we hope, in front of her potentially, right. But otherwise, you've got international actresses, African American. I mean, we're just not going to see it. Amy Madigan is just not someone that's ever on a poster here, so I think she will and should win. I almost feel. Well, we haven't gotten to Best Actress yet, but this is I'm almost the most confident in this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I tend to think that Amy Madigan's going to win it as well. It does seem to me that the again, Laron, to your point, the narrative, the awards sort of narrative, the campaigning has been really strong. She seems like the clear frontrunner. Winning at the actor awards last week was a huge sign of strength. So for me, I think she's the most likely to take this. I still kind of love Tiana Taylor, though. I think that might be my favorite performance of the bunch. I do think Amy Madigan is having the most fun and goes larger. But Tiana Taylor, there's a lot more complexity under the surface happening there. She has to be a character that you're both rooting for, and then I'm almost immediately like, oh, I don't know that you're a good person. Like there's a lot of tension and a lot of layers that she has to really deliver to the audience, and some of those scenes without very many lines. So, without spoiling the movie, she's not exactly in the movie a ton. So, for me, I think that's probably my favorite performance, just in terms of like what she's doing with the script and the work. But I mean, I also want Amy Madigan. I think she will win, and I want Weapons to get as much love as possible because that movie was fantastic and deserved more. Let's move on to Best Actor in a Leading Role. And the nominees are Timothée Chalamet, Marty Supreme, Leonardo DiCaprio in One Battle After Another, Ethan Hawke in Blue Moon, Michael B. Jordan in Sinners, and Wagner Moura in The Secret Agent. And I'm just going to start off here because Laron and I have been having this back and forth off mic about, the Timmy factor. All right. And here's the thing. I want to be crystal clear. I think Timothée Chalamet is the talent of a generation. I think he is one of the few young movie stars we have. I think that the movie of Marty Supreme lends itself to delivering the type of performance that would get him an Oscar that also does not feel like a Beatty type role. And I think he showed up 100%. And I also think Marty Supreme only made the amount of money that it made because Timothée Chalamet went so hard, So I want to be very clear. This is an incredible performance by Timothée Chalamet. However, I'm not even saying that I think the choice he made last year when he won, I think it was at SAG, right? Was a bad choice in the long run. But him saying that I want to be one of the greats almost felt like he was delivering that speech as Marty Supreme. And it kind of signaled that he wants this award a little too much. And right or wrong or otherwise, I think that is why, despite him having the momentum earlier in the awards cycle, I think that's why he's going to lose to Michael B. Jordan. I will also say Michael B. Jordan has been around a little longer than Timothée Chalamet, is another one of those actors who has been kind of like Leo in the early odds, just showing up, doing really great work in movie after movie. He's even dabbled in directing, and he's an actor that I feel like this is a role that deserves an Oscar, 2 roles really, with a lot of nuance to each character that he's playing. And a particularly big movie with powerful movie with big ideas that character is really essential in delivering the story. So I'm going will win Michael B. Jordan, should win Michael B. Jordan. That said, one last caveat I have to say. I have to say it. Ethan Hawke is owed one, guys. Ethan Hawke is owed a couple. And I'm still looking at you. I'm still looking at you, Green Book. Ethan Hawke should have had that for First Reformed in the bag. And this role in Blue Moon is an Oscar caliber performance. And I'm like, when are we going to give Ethan Hawke his due? One of these days.
Man, we take him so for granted, for sure. I agree.
It's coming. I think it's coming.
He's gonna have his day, and I hope when he does, they just don't bother playing him off. He just gets the speech of all speeches. He's also such a humble guy. Jason Black, what is your pick for Best Actor in a Leading Role?
Would love to see Ethan Hawke win. I think it's his best performance. If I had my pick. I don't want to nitpick over passwords here, but Leonardo DiCaprio. I'm actually not historically a big Leo fan. I think he kind of delivers the same scrunched up face performance and everything. He can't do accents. Everything I think post Wolf of Wall Street, he's been brilliant. And so he's my guy in this one. I would love it if he would win. He's not going to. I thought for sure Chalamet was going to win up until last 2 weeks ago. Yeah, and up until Chalamet happened. I think, believe it or not, I think the Kylie factor has a factor in this. Interestingly enough, didn't take her to the SAG Awards, Actor Awards. So I also do think you have to go with the marker of the Actor Awards, and it's MBJ's year. He deserves it. I didn't think he was going to win, but now I do. He's my pick.
Seriously, like up until about 2 weeks ago, like I didn't think he had a shot in hell, honestly.
No. Yeah, he was fifth for my. I was just he's good, happy to be here. You know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Sunrise, what is your pick for best actor and a leading role?
I agree with all of you. Jordan's going to win. I agree with you, Caleb, about Chalamet. I feel like this role was almost destined for him to play it. In a similar way with Sean Penn, I feel like the film would not work if it were someone else.
Mm-hmm.
But Michael is doing so much work, doing another character, doing two, and having to hit some beats and genre and all sorts of things. I think it's his time. I also agree with Jason that Ethan should probably get some recognition. It is his best performance that he's ever done. But I do believe that he's going to do more. I think he
enjoys the work. So
yeah, he does.
And also, young actors don't win.
That's
just
true.
Historically,
Mm-hmm.
young actresses win because you know who's voting, but young actors, they don't win.
You know, Ethan Hawke's going to be the elder statesman. He's at this point, not to call him one of the old guys, but he's been in the industry for like 30 years, elder statesman.
Yeah. He'll be our Peter O'Toole. He's just 80 years old. He's still here doing it.
It's coming. Laron Chapman, I have to ask you a very important question before you know you're a winner.
Yeah.
Do you think Michael B. Jordan is winning because of the guns that he shows off, both the actual guns he uses, the Tommy gun, and the arms? Do you think that is what puts him over?
I can neither confirm or deny whether that's a reality or not, but I think no. It's interesting because I agree with you. I think Timmy was the front runner all season. And I really think he got in his own way with this. I think there was a little bit of some people are a little off put by his SAG speech before. I kind of understood what he was saying in that moment, but I could also understand how it could come off as arrogant, but he just does himself no favors as he does these kind of candid interviews where he kind of puts his foot in his mouth. And like recently, I think it's a little overblown, everyone being so mad at him because he said that he wasn't in love with ballet and opera. But I also understand that because he said it so off the cuff, sort of way. But I do also understand you don't shit on a whole artistic form. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just not. It's kind of a dickwad thing to do, to be honest with you. And so it just adds to the narrative that he is an arrogant person, and maybe that is going to off-put people for wanting to give him recognition in that regard, even though I personally think he's deserving of in this particular category. That would be my should win if he hadn't put his foot in his mouth, but going off of the SAG award recently and just seeing the genuine elation that I saw everyone stand up, like you saw Viola Davis just almost, just ripped her whole wig off. She was so happy about it. And then you saw, you saw everyone stand up, gave him a standing ovation. He got very emotional about it. That to me speaks to a more earnest, genuine kind of that's what you want to reward. You know what I mean? You want to reward that story, and his speech was amazing, very humble, so it does seem like Michael B. Jordan will win this category in the coming in clutch, the last minute, taking that award. So I would personally say Timmy should win if I'm just going off the merit of the performances. But I think that Michael B. Jordan will win, and I will be very happy to see him win.
Yeah. Well, there you have it. This is a really tough category, though. If any one of them won, I probably wouldn't be upset. I think they're all delivering really, really top-notch performances. And the last, Jason, to your point, Leo doing bumbling stoner dad comedy is something that's definitely not something he's done before. So even his performance, despite him having been in this nominated before, he's doing some cool stuff.
Yeah.
Let's move on to a category that is significantly more locked. Best Actress in a Leading Role. The nominees are Jessie Buckley in Hamnet, Rose Byrne in If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You, Kate Hudson in Song Sung Blue, Renata Ronza in Sentimental Value, and Emma Stone in Begonia. And I'll throw it to you first, Sunrise. Who will win, should win Best Lead Actress?
Well, I think Jessie Buckley has got this locked in. Like you mentioned, it's pretty clear, I think, from the history of what's happened over this or this award season. Um, my personal favorite, though, is Rose Byrne. I feel like she has done such a tremendous job in this particular role, and just throughout her whole career, she's just always very consistently giving a lot and making all the work stronger because she's in it. And in this particular role, also, she just goes the extra mile. And I wish more people had seen it. I really think that's the detriment to this particular film, and then the fact that it is such a challenging film to watch in the end. Like, it just emotionally, it just takes you to places that are really difficult to take. Yeah, Jesse's, everybody's loving what Jesse's doing, and for the reasons that Laron, I think, mentioned earlier, the fact that he cried, I feel like a lot of that memory of people's emotional response and just the meaning of that particular role seems to be the reason why I think it's winning. Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Well said. Jason Black, what's your pick for best lead actress?
Yeah, I actually echo Sunrise completely. I would prefer Rose Byrne to win, but she's not going to. Jessie Buckley is going to win. I thought that she was fantastic. I thought the first maybe hour or so of this movie was like homework, but she really delivers a fantastic performance. We all grieve differently, but art delivers. So I think that she will win and deserves it.
Yeah. Well said. Laron Chapman, your pick for best actress in a leading role.
It's definitely Kate Hudson. I think
She sings. She does sing in that role.
She sings, and you know what? In all fairness to that movie, I did not like. She's the best part of it. So.
Yeah, I love Kate Hudson.
Kate Hudson's lovely. I love her. There's no shade to Kate Hudson, but in this category, there's no shot in hell that she would win. But I do think that Jessie Buckley gave I keep saying, like, a generational performance for me, like that. I've seen her do great in the past. She was great in The Lost Daughters. She's been great in a lot of independent work over the years. But I do feel like this is just such a showpiece for her. And I think she's got some of the best Oscar clips. I've seen people piecing different elements of the performance throughout the year. Like, this was the moment. And interestingly enough, they're not all the same moment because there are a lot of moments in it. There's a lot of nuance in it throughout. And that final stretch of it is just so emotionally sweeping, and it's all on her face. And so I think that it's deserving and should and will win the Oscar.
Yeah, I have nothing more to say. Jessie Buckley, she's a lock. I didn't love the movie, but I love the performance, and it is the script and what was demanded of her and expected of her was an incredibly tall task, and she not only succeeded, she jumped way over that bar and cleared it. So yeah, I think she's going to win. She deserves to win, and she's also the kind of, like, I know she's not young, but she's still a younger talent in her career. And to see this sort of thing rewarded, I think hopefully sort of signals even better opportunities for her ahead. Much like, we've seen Emma Stone with a couple of her wins. What directions has she gone in? Some pretty crazy directions. And I'm eager to see what Jessie Buckley does with the win under her belt. All right, we have made it to Best Picture. So we're going to go and name our Best Picture winner. And if we have a little time, we'll go through the shorts categories for all those of you who really like to keep track of the shorts. Just as a quick reminder, the nominees for Best Picture are Begonia, F1, Frankenstein, Hamnet, Marty Supreme, One Battle After Another, The Secret Agent, Sentimental Value, Sinners, and Train Dreams. This is the big one, the big award, the one that surely history will not remember irrefavorably. We will always remember this as the most iconic moment in which the Academy got it right. They picked the right movie to win Best Picture. And I will throw it to you first, Jason Black. Who is going to win Best Picture in 2026?
Well, I mean, I would be thrilled if Sinners won, but I'm calling in a Greyhawk 10. I think One Battle After Another will win, and I think should win.
All right. That's one for one battle. How will the rest of the panel fall? Let's find out. Sunrise, Tippeconnie, who's going to win Best Picture?
I kind of want to say F1 just to throw something in there. But I really think it's One Battle After Another. It's going to win One Battle After Another, I think. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So will win, should win One Battle?
Yeah.
All right. Laron Chapman, what is your pick for Best Picture?
Dissenting opinion here. I actually think Sinners will win here, and I think it'll be the surprise upset of the night. And reason I think this is, I mean, both of these films, because I'm definitely a math person as much as I am a heart person. But I do feel like both of these movies are in an unprecedented state where they both have won things that no other Best Picture movie has. I mean, they've all gone on to win with these things behind their belt, but they both have them. And so it's kind of interesting, like they both have the math in their favor. So it's kind of a toss up by where the Academy was in the closing moments of voting. And I do think if we think about the narrative of the entire year, it's been one battle, one battle, one battle. But at the tail end of the year, especially as it showed up at the actor awards, Sinners winning best ensemble, and then Michael B. Jordan taking actor over the projected winner. You know, it seems to me that the narrative and the passion has kind of shifted ever so slightly in Sinners' favor in the most important moment of the season when they're actually closing the voting. So I think that there will be a split here. I think that Anderson will win director, but I think that Coogler will get the Oscar for Best Picture, and I would be happy to see that. So should and will win will be Sinners for me.
We should mention the preferential ballot for Best Picture too, though. And I think that that's where the math is going to go in One Battle's favor, because I think that there will be more people that'll have One Battle higher.
It's true.
Than they will have Sinners.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, that's a funny thing. We've talked about this. I think with multiple of you on and off the air. You know, this is the preferential ballot really makes or breaks like the winner, because sometimes it's not the movie that necessarily is that the most number ones. It's the movie that's the most number twos and number threes and number fours collectively that wins out. And I'm with you, Laron. This really is a toss-up because One Battle, as I said after we walked to the theater after seeing it together, I said this is going to win Best Picture. And I don't think there's anything even close, even though Sinners had already been out. But just to see how impressive the Sinners campaign has been, to note that it has also nominated more than any other movie in Oscars history.
Because it came out so early. It came out very early in the year, and it's maintained that momentum. And a lot of movies fizz out once you get to the fall season. And it's still in the conversation. So, but yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, I credit a lot of that to the Warner Brothers marketing campaign as well. Again, the fact that it got nominated for more Oscars than any other movie in history. There's a lot in Sinners' favor. So I will stick to my guns in that if I'm tossing the coin, I think it's going to land on One Battle's side. But man, honestly, I think Sinners could just as likely take it. So I'm putting my money on One Battle, but also Sinners could win, and frankly should win either of them, because I think they're both amazing in their own right. One Battle is, I hedged it out so slightly because I think it's such a timely film about sort of covering a lot of topics that are very much of the right now, right in front of us. So that's why I think I would put that as my slight favor, both for will win and should win. But man, Sinners is an amazing movie. It's a masterpiece. It deserves to win. And if it does, I would say one of the best movies of the year, one Best Picture, and that's a good thing to celebrate. All right, well, gentlemen, for some extra credit, we're going to fly through these really fast because listeners are already ready to move on to make their own ballot, I'm sure. The shorts categories, let's really quickly. Best live action short. The nominees are Butcher Stain, A Friend of Dorothy, Jane Austen's period drama, The Singers, and Two People Exchanging Saliva. That last one. Real interesting titling there. Laron, Chapman, what's going to win?
I actually think should and will win will be Two People Exchanging Saliva for a couple of reasons. One, I think that not just because it was one that was at deadCenter, I will say that it was, but also because a lot of times when people I've read, from Oscar history that a lot of times they'll go with the film that has the longest and most interesting title. Like, oh, that resonates, for whatever reason, it'll get an edge in that regard. But I also actually think it's the strongest one in this category, the most innovative, the most world building. And I mean, what a lot to pack into a little 40-minute short film for sure. Definitely check it out if you ever get a chance. It would be a much deserved win in that category. But this is a strong category. Jane Austen's period drama is a fun comedic one, kind of take on Jane Austen's work in a very I guess irreverent way, an irreverent takeover of that. That was also something that played at deadCenter. So happy to see some representation in this category with those two movies.
Yeah, Very well said. Sunrise, what are your picks here?
I also agree that two people exchanging saliva will take it. It was the strongest out of all of them in terms of like how it cohesively applied so many elements of filmmaking, and it just was really resonant. Even though it's kind of a strange world, just like this world with strange rules, and finding how you love someone, rise above it. I feel like it's really that by itself. The message also is resonating. So that's going to take it. But yeah, it's great to see Jane Austen and two people exchanging here from deadCenter. It's great to see them there.
Yeah. Very cool stuff. Full disclosure, I have seen none of these short films. I'm throwing my money behind two people exchanging saliva for, well, two reasons. Laron already said it. The weirdest title, so it draws the most eyeballs if people are going to pick one or two of these to watch. And number two, it's got brand recognition. The New Yorker. People know who The New Yorker is. Weird title from The New Yorker. I'll watch that. This is one of those categories. Just getting people to watch it is almost enough to get them to vote for it. So two people exchanging saliva gets my vote, despite the fact that I have not seen this movie and know nothing about it. Jason Black, what is your pick for best live action short?
I haven't seen any of them either. So I'm going to say The Singers will win because it sounds like Sinners and people might get confused.
Singers. Yeah, I put that one down. Yeah, right.
It takes place in a bar and they're singing in it. So there you go.
Yeah, That's the juke joint.
Best animated short. The nominees are Butterfly, Forever Green, The Girl Who Cried Pearls, Retirement Plan, and The Three Sisters. Sunrise, I'll throw it to you. What is your pick here?
I will just say that I'll shout out The Three Sisters, which was a world premiere at deadCenter. We're very proud to have shown that first, and it's glad to see it here. It's the second time we've had a film in consecutive years. We had Anuja last year as a world premiere that also was nominated. But I think The Girl Who Cried Pearls is going to win this one. It's just the stop motion animation, and it's really the clearest narrative, I think, out of all of these particular films. But
Stop motion. That's exciting. I got to get around. I usually try to catch the animated shorts category if not, but not this year, at least not yet. Laron Chapman, what is your pick for best animated short?
Also very happy to see The Three Sisters here. It's a very hilarious, concise short that I think is just a delight to watch. But I agree with Sunrise. I think when watching all of them consecutively, like it felt like The Girl with the Pearled Earrings was for sure the standout for me of those 5 nominees, and also the most innovative in terms of the animation style. So
I'm going The Girl Who Cried Pearls for one reason only. Again, based off of the fact that I haven't seen these, I noticed that it was backed by the Canadian Board of Review. So Canada's behind it. I think that gives it the edge. Listen, guys. When you're in the shorts categories, any push you can get gives you an advantage because just so few people see these shorts films sometimes, which is a shame because I think some of the most innovative storytelling is happening in all these categories, but animation in particular. Jason Black, best animated short.
Yeah, I've seen none of these, so I am going to go with The Retirement Plan because I feel like voters may think that they're contributing to their IRA or something and didn't know what they were looking at, and so they don't know which ballot they're doing.
Yeah.
I mean, there are a lot of folks in the academy who might be trying to do their taxes or select their benefits at the same time as Oscar voting.
Which tab was I on? Retirement plan? Sure.
Yeah, that's where I want to put my votes. Let's move on to best documentary short. Our last little piece of extra credit here. The nominees are All the Empty Rooms, Armed Only with a Camera, The Life and Death of Brent Renaud, Children No More, The Devil is Busy, or Perfectly a Strangeness. Laron Chapman, who's going to take best documentary short?
So I've actually only seen 2 of these. One of them's actually it was submitted to us this year, was Perfectly a Strangeness, and it's a film told completely from the perspective of wildlife, particularly like a donkey going through the terrain. I found that very fascinating. It's like it's just their POV the entire time. There's no dialogue in it, so it's very fascinating. But the one that I actually think has the most recognition here is All the Empty Rooms. This is one I caught on Netflix. Also, again, going with visibility, a big platform. People can watch it right now at home. And it's also dealing with a very timely subject, the aftermath of school shootings. We're going into empty rooms of families of their loved ones that were shot in school shootings. And we meet the individual families and we get to know who these children were and what their hopes and dreams were before this inevitable thing happened. I think that's a very timely subject. I hate that it's still relevant in today's culture, but it is. And that is another reason why I think it will capture people's hearts, and it will get the sentimental value vote.
Yep. Sunrise, what's your pick?
I will just briefly say that I think it's amazing that this category has gotten the most distribution for short films out of all the categories. I thought that was really incredible, and that everything was accessible in some form. I do think the Netflix element is going to really push All the Empty Rooms. I think it's also very resonant. I think they all are. I will just shout out The Devil Is Busy, kind of looking at our right for abortion. In a time that is very what's the right word? But like in a world where religion can be pushed in one direction or another, overly aggressive as an argument against abortion, but also a way to resonate for those who are facing the challenges of abortion. It's really interesting and really should be viewed easily on HBO. I'll also briefly say that I wish, this is a snub that I did mention earlier because I didn't know if we were going to get here, but I wish that Lauren Waters' Tiger, which also played deadCenter, but that was one that I really felt was like one of the strongest films, short films and short docs of the year. And I wish I'd been here.
Yeah.
That would have been my vote.
It was on the short list, correct? Like it was able to be nominated.
It was on the short list.
On the short list.
Okay. Yeah.
Almost. Very close. Jason Black, best documentary short?
Haven't seen any of these. I'm going to say All the Empty Rooms. No jokes.
I did see precisely one of these, All the Empty Rooms, and I saw it last night to prep for the podcast. So, and you want to know why? Accessibility. I think accessibility is the winner. It's on Netflix. Therefore, I think the most people have access. Watch it. And again, it is a timely subject. So I think that's going to win as well. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, our Oscar predictions for the 2026 Oscars, hosted by Conan O'Brien. Again, if you're watching here, that's going to be this Sunday night. Make sure I got the time right. You can watch it on Hulu or ABC, 4 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Central Standard Time, or 7 p.m. for folks on the East Coast. It's going to be a great time. I'm confident that, I was a big fan of what Conan did last year. So whether you care about the awards or not, I think there's going to be a lot of fun to be had between musical performances, Conan, and just seeing celebrities throw shit at each other. It's always a good time. Well, gentlemen, I appreciate you for taking some time. We're recording this on Sunday, your Sunday evenings, to talk Oscars with us. Jason Black, always a pleasure to share the mic with you. Where can people follow you and all the great things you're doing in film criticism?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram. FlickKicks23. I pair a pair of shoes with a movie and give a review about it. And Caleb, I've been on the show many times. I do really appreciate it. Most of the time with Laron, which I always request. And from now on, we'll also request Sunrise. And I have given you many updates over the years I started this Instagram fully with the intent of getting a free pair of shoes. And just as an update for everybody, it still has not happened.
Oh man, I thought you were about to blow my mind.
Yeah, just tell us it's finally happened. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
I believe in you. I just keep it up. If you keep going, it'll happen. I promise. I hope.
Persistence is key.
That's right. Well, Jason, always a pleasure sharing the mic with you. I can't wait to join you again in the future. I don't know if you've heard, but they are making another Fast and Furious movie, so that review's coming soon. And by that, I mean in like 5 years.
Another deep dive.
Yeah. All right. Sunrise Tippeconnie, as always, a pleasure to share the mic with you. Thanks for taking time out of your very busy schedule leading up to the deadCenter Film Festival. Where can people follow you and all the great things you're doing for the festival?
Yeah, so you're already mentioning the festival. I will say, if you're interested, our festival happens in downtown Oklahoma City, and we're so excited. It's our 26th year. Like we mentioned, we've got Oscar-winning categories. We often have many shorts that will play there first before it goes into nominations. So please come watch them. So that'll be in June, Oklahoma City, the 10th through the 14th. So come visit us. If you want more information, you can look at deadcenterfilm.org. I am on Letterboxd, just under sunrise.tippeconnie, but I really don't post reviews. I try to kind of stay away from grading things publicly. because everything is great. I really, as a programmer, I really do think that there's an audience for every film, and just what we think is our opinion. I think as long as everybody else views and has opinions, I think then cinema is going to stay alive. And I think Letterboxd is really doing a big job of doing that. So if you are on Letterboxd, check it out. I will say that my comments sometimes come through lists.
Yeah.
So, rather than like review.
I personally love your best theatrical experiences. I loved seeing
that's a great list. Yeah.
Which movies you nominate for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So now's my chance to pitch you Sunrise. If it's still in theaters, you got to go see Nirvana, the band, the show, the movie. My best theatrical going experience I've had in quite a while. So if you haven't already, but you got to see with the crowd. I got lucky. I went on a Saturday matinee and it was a mostly full theater. I was pleasantly surprised. And man, it's so rare you get comedy experiences like that anymore, where everyone's on the same page laughing. And anyway, throw that out there. Nomination for that list. Hopefully if you can catch it in the theater. Laron Chapman, before you get sucked into a black hole, the cave that you were slowly disappearing into, where can people follow you and all your work online?
It's already happening. No, you can follow me. Shout out to Letterboxd. Yeah, it's a great platform for connecting and seeing what everybody else is watching. It's nice seeing what's trending. It's nice seeing what's popular. And it's nice hearing people's fleeting thoughts about them, whether they hate something or love something, what have you. So I'm on there under under cinema_man. I'm also on the Cinematropolis for more episodes like this. I also have a review column, Real Insights with Laron Chapman. That's Real REEL. Also on the Cinematropolis. So follow me there.
Check it out, ladies and gentlemen. Laron always delivering some good insights. Also did a couple of different Instagram short reviews for us, like Wuthering Heights he did a few weeks ago. You can catch all of that on our Instagram channel at the Cinematrop. Of course, you can find me doing things on the internet, Letterboxd, if you want to go there, at C Masters Talk. That's letter C Masters Talk. Same for all my other social media channels. But really, just head to thecinematropolis.com. If you enjoyed this conversation and you're watching it on YouTube, give it a like, give it a subscribe, give it a follow. If you're listening on your podcast app, rate and reviewing the podcast is going to go a long way. Help us out there. We are going to be back to our regularly scheduled programming here in a couple of weeks with our review of Ready or Not 2, Here I Come. I can only hope that this reminds me of
I know what you're
movie
gonna say.
I wish I was going to. This is going to be the movie I wish I got for Scream 7. So I'm glad it was a fast follow from Radio Silence.
I knew that was coming.
All right. Thanks so much for everyone. We'll catch you again next time.